It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Oh, I could hear it now. I could hear it now. You know who they are. But, he almost slept with Janelle Grant. But, he was going to fly and have sex with her. He can't come back. Oh, my goodness. It's funny. A couple of weeks ago, somebody posted a picture of Brock Lesnar. Brock had told someone that he's officially retired. And yeah, that's when you know that the guy is coming back. Hey, SummerSlam, 2 nights in the books. We haven't done one of these in quite some time. I am back Sunday night, but tonight is a review, my thoughts, your thoughts of SummerSlam. You know, for the last couple of weeks, I said I was looking forward more to this SummerSlam than WrestleMania 41. And, you know, my reasoning more than anything is that WrestleMania is so hyped for so long that by the time it comes, you just so drained and like, get this over with already. And if it doesn't overperform, you're left with maybe 2-3 matches that you'll think about years from now. But for the most part, you know, you're just tired. Even after Mania is over, you just feel like you need a break. This, though, I felt for SummerSlam, I've experienced SummerSlams with almost 10 matches. And to split it into 2 nights, and the fact that we're doing this now and it's not even 10 p.m. Eastern, you know, I thought this was tremendous this weekend. Is it the greatest SummerSlam of all time? No. For anybody complaining, what the hell do you want? What do you want? From the days of paying $40, $50 for a pay-per-view, you know, you're now paying $4.99, $9.99. If you're an Instacart Plus member, you get Peacock for free. SummerSlam was free for me, both nights. What do you want? Do you want to get blown? Do you want a commemorative chair shipped to you? What do you want? I'm watching people complain, and I get it. Not every match, you know, hits. There was some misses tonight. Absolutely. There was some misses Saturday night. Absolutely. But what do you want? Does everything have to feel like an orgasm? Does everything have to feel like the heart, that amazing heart emoji? I mean, lighten up. I mean, I get it. Complaining makes money. Misery loves company. You'll have that share of it for the foreseeable future. But how are you going to complain about these 2 nights? Do I compare it to AEW All In? No. Do I compare it to WrestleMania 41? Not really. But yes, in some ways, because it's 2 nights, it's, you know, a bigger show. But at the end of the day, compared to recent SummerSlams, look, 2022's SummerSlam was pretty damn good. We just covered it on the history show yesterday. But, you know, I mean, come on. We ended up with some pretty damn good shit. And then at the very end, to see Brock Lesnar come out. I'll tell you one thing that was funny. I'm not going to say the 2 people that showed up on my feed. But, you know, there's 2 people that are probably podcasting right now. Showed up on my feed, and up until this weekend, they were complaining about, oh, we're going to probably get Travis Scott. Even some people that were getting nervous today. Oh, he made amends with WWE. He made amends. That means his shit suddenly is good. I don't care if he made amends. Good. Put him back in a video game. Don't put him on my TV. Made amends? What does that mean? That means suddenly his stuff was acceptable? I saw these people, oh, please, no Rock. Please, no interference. Please, no Travis Scott. Please. And then tonight, didn't have nobody fucking come out. No fucking surprises. Please, give me a break. These people are never happy. Never happy. They remind me of infants that are 180 pounds and about this big, 180 pounds. And the reason why is because the baby keeps crying. Wah, 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 wah. Gets breastfed, not good enough. Gets milk, not good enough. Gets chocolate milk, not good enough. Gets baby food, gets bananas. Gets baby version of Platanos. Eats pizza there, and nothing is ever good enough. Wah, 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 wah. Lighten the fuck up. Jesus, God. I don't know what you all thought about SummerSlam. Again, was it my favorite SummerSlam of all time? No. But there was enough for 2 nights that made it fun. I love the fact that it started at 6 p.m. Eastern. Trust me, I live less than 30 minutes away from where SummerSlam went down tonight. And I guarantee you, people out there right now who live in my neck of the woods, trying to get on the New Jersey Turnpike, trying to get home because they got to go to work tomorrow, are going to be very, very happy to be leaving that arena before 10 o'clock. All right. And for those that live outside this area, Ubers, yeah, you may have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe you get lucky, you get a shuttle to the airport. But, it's nice to be able to do this with a little bit of energy still. I hated doing them when they're near midnight, 1 a.m., let alone on a Sunday night. I thought this SummerSlam was fun. It gave me enough. Now, I did not do a review yesterday because, first of all, there was a lot of unknown from yesterday. I mean, I wasn't going to do a review anyway. I like waiting 24 hours. Let things sink in a little bit. Plus, if there's any news coming out of night 1, maybe we get some updates. Because I can imagine how many people yesterday, I wonder what happened to Bron Breakker. Oh my God, I hope he's not out of action. Oh my God. Apparently, when they did this, the spear and he went through the barricades, he did the table spot, he banged his knee up a little bit. And it's a little swollen. And they tightened and wrapped it up just to be safe. Apparently, they're going to test him anyway just to make sure nothing happened, because you never even want to have a little slight tear lingering and you don't know about it. Because especially when Bron Breakker does one of those Huracan Ranas off the top rope, you land the wrong way, that knee buckles, and yeah, you actually will be out as long as Seth Rollins was in 2015. Now, look, I have some notes. As of right now, I'm looking straight at you. I don't need notes right now. But let's talk for a moment about Seth Rollins. I appreciate all of you out there that said to me, DT, you were the first person to find this a little strange. All right. Now, yes, WrestlePost and Meltzer, for the last 2 weeks, if you follow my other shows, I said, you know what? They may actually have been right that this was a storyline. What I found weird about both WrestlePost and Meltzer is that they waited until after Seth Rollins had the injury on Saturday night's main event. They waited until a day and a half later to say, oh, I was told a week ago that this was started. These motherfuckers, since 1997, my motto's been, I don't want to be first, I want to be right. These motherfuckers, everything has got to be breaking exclusive by my news. I have to be the first one out there. These people always race to put something out there before everyone else. Now, for some reason, you don't put it out there for 5 days leading into Saturday night's main event. And then 2 days later, why? Because you rewound it and you looked at it closely and you kind of felt like, something's not up, not right. And even if someone said to them, they're thinking about doing an injury storyline, this and that, you don't mention it. You don't even throw it out there and say, listen, guys, take it for whatever it's worth. But a source told me that WWE may be planning an injury angle. Then it happens at Saturday Night's Main Event. Be like, oh, shit, you were right. This might be storyline. Why did you wait? No answer. Never get an answer for that. Why did I suspect it early on? Very simple. If you've heard my shows for the last 3 weeks, you know. Rich Eisen. The Rich Eisen show. The one thing I could not get past is if you blew out your knee, you tore your ACL, your MCL, your CCL, CCD, ACD, ACDC, whatever you tore, and it's not even 72 hours after the injury, you're going to fly to the Rich Eisen show and you're going to sit at a table for half an hour, 2 hours of makeup and do that? No. 3 days after an injury that you don't even know what's wrong with you yet, you're just sitting at a table. It's bad. If I felt something pop. Pop goes the weasel. So ever since that appearance, I said, why would he be doing Rich Eisen 3 days after the injury? Do it on simulcast. Maybe I'll believe it. Did you see anyone out there say, why is he doing the Rich Eisen show 3 days after it? Nobody. And I appreciate all of you out there that remembered that. About 3-4 weeks ago, we talked about Brock Lesnar. Oh, Brock Lesnar's on the ban list. Banned. What does that even mean? Ban list. Yeah, absolutely. They kept him off TV for a while because of what happened with this lawsuit. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what the facts are. All right. But again, at the end of the day, listen, Brock Lesnar is guilty of being a bad husband. Even if he didn't give the to Janelle Grant. He's still a bad husband because he almost did. The fact that it crossed your mind that you almost slept with someone other than your wife, bad husband. That means you ban him from television? The fuck out of here. But obviously Brock Lesnar is a part-time player. They wanted the controversy to die down a little bit. And props to Triple H. Props to WWE. Fightful reported today that WWE is not doing press conferences anymore with the media. Now, I don't mean New York Post, Rich Eisen, ESPN. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about WrestlingVirgin.com, neckbeard.net. All those people, because right the fuck now, you could have Ron Killings sit at the announcer's table right now with Joe Tessitore, and you'll get Annie or Joey, we got to be fair, or Joey Ann, that'll say, hey, what are your thoughts about, after everything's been alleged of Brock Lesnar that he's back in the WWE? Yeah, no. That's ridiculous. They stopped that. Good. Now, getting back to Seth Rollins. I know what the out will be with the Rich Eisen show. Rich Eisen show, remember, Seth Rollins was being a guest host. So Rich Eisen said, had no idea. Saves his credibility. Yes, they worked all of us. Yes, we were fooled. Props to CM Punk. Props for CM Punk. Something I've been saying for almost a year and a half now, 2 years. At the end of the day, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, whoever else you want to put in that sentence, they are professionals. They are top employees. They are older and more mature. And the idea that they could not put their grudges aside for the betterment of the company, for the betterment of their salaries, for the betterment of their legacies, for the betterment of our enjoyment. That's what a professional does. if anybody in that company truly still despised someone to the point that they said, Nick, Hunter, Paul, I cannot work with that person. I just hate him too much. WWE probably would not put them in that position. And the fact that these guys are working together, even if they don't like each other, even if they don't all, have the same hobbies and the same morals, props to all of them. Because CM Punk, after everything that's gone on, pretty big deal yesterday. Now, I'll say this too. I got to say this right at the get, because like I said, no notes right now, just talking to you. You know who should be pissed right now? Not LA Knight. Not LA Knight. My gut feeling is that LA Knight knew that this was storyline. Even if he didn't know, LA Knight is a professional. LA Knight is not going to be pissed the fuck off like, oh my God, he got the win. He got the win. So, you know who should be really fucking irate right now? Can you all figure it out? I kind of threw a hint in the preview, the synopsis for tonight. A WWE Hall of Famer right now, Saturday night, probably put his head through a wall. I don't think he had any limousine glass nearby that he could just punch his arm through a window. But if I'm Bill Goldberg, not only did they cut my motherfucking speech down to 15 seconds, even though the Matarazzi doesn't realize that in the internet, there's been 3 times more people have watched it than if it was NBC only. So Goldberg got more views online, even though it was cut off. But you know how Goldberg is. I loved Goldberg's career. I enjoyed 95% of it. That 5% is probably The Fiend, the match in Saudi Arabia. But I've always been a Goldberg fan. But I've always been a Goldberg, the wrestler, fan. I'm not as much of a fan of this complaining panty waist, Bill Goldberg. And now, the funny thing is, remember when Bill Goldberg said, can't say nothing for 2 weeks? Remember? He said that to Ariel Wani. And Ariel Wani's like, why? Well, it's 2 weeks. Now, Saturday night's main event was, 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. So maybe, the interview was 2.5 weeks ago, around there? All right. Maybe Bill Goldberg's math is not perfect. I wonder if in the back of my mind, I don't know if Bill Goldberg's that smart as far as storylines go, but I wonder if Bill Goldberg thought in the back of his mind, I want to see what happens at SummerSlam. I want to see if this prick really tore his knee up, or if they fucking did an injury angle, put him on a fucking, a gurney, made him walk like a cripple to the back, wasted another 6-7 minutes from this, just so, and they fucked my time even more. That if that injury angle wasn't done, I probably would add 5 minutes on my speech. I wonder if that's why Goldberg said 2 weeks. Because out of that, what's happened in the last week? Nothing. So Goldberg right now is probably, I guarantee you, listen, I've said this already. I believe Goldberg will have another match unless he gets in the really good graces of WWE, which I do not believe it is. But I believe unless WWE suddenly really starts breaking bread with Goldberg, that guy is going to have another match. And I think the draw is that if his son ends up finishing football and wants to become a professional wrestler, once he starts training a little bit, I could see a match being offered to him from another company where it's Goldberg and his son taking on 2 other people. Sterling Archer says I sound like JD from New York. Yeah, we're both from New York. And our last names are D. So Goldberg right now, if I'm him, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. And even if he's not pissed, he'll find a way to be pissed. We're watching entertainment. When season 2 of WWE Unreal comes out, Seth Rollins probably will be a part of it. I can almost guarantee that. I'm fine. I'm fine with the swerve. I mean, I remember growing up, seeing storylines in TV and swerves where somebody pretended an injury and they faked it. When the early days of ECW, I remember a time where Sandman said he was blinded, and the motherfucker sold it so well that he went to the grocery store with patches all over his eyes. I remember even, what was it? Was it Shawn Michaels that he was blinded in one eye? And we did an autograph signing at Video Game Central many, many, many years ago, and he showed up blinded in one eye. I think it was Shawn Michaels. Zack Ryder did it as well. I don't mind being worked like that. What I will say is this. I'm starting to see more people complain about, as Ronnie wrote before, hot-shotting the titles. I'm starting to see more people complain about these abrupt decisions WWE is doing for an immediate rush and reaction. That outside of the undisputed WWE Championship, a lot of these titles are somewhat playing hot potato. People are getting a little bit tired of the cash-ins. Listen, I'm going to say this. I've said this for years, and I'll continue saying it. Fucking Doink the Clown could come out with a Money in the Bank briefcase and cash in and get a pop. The surprise element, the unexpected element of the Money in the Bank briefcase will never get old, because every live crowd that sees a cash-in will go nuts. The chances of going to a building and everybody has been in that building already, and everybody already experienced 1 to 2 times live and in person a briefcase cash-in, and now it happens again for the second or third time in front of them, they're like, again? As long as you keep doing it in front of different live audiences, and you have the commentators losing their shit and the surprise factor of it, it will always happen. Won't happen 100% of the time, but it'll always happen. So for the people out there that are getting a little bit tired of the way WWE is doing these title changes, I wouldn't compare it to WCW yet, because WCW around 2000 was horrendous. Didn't they do like 10 title changes in 3 weeks? When you get to that level, then we'll talk. By the way, little injury update. I don't know who to credit on this, because unfortunately 5 or 6 different places all put it up at the same time. And the funny thing about it is they all changed their wording to make it seem like they got a little extra exclusive. I swear to God, if you go look, Gunther, injury update, just do a Google search and do a search within the last hour or 24 hours, you'll find 6 different sources saying pretty much the same fucking thing, but they'll change the wording to make it seem like they have a little extra, but they don't. They don't. Gunther apparently needs to get surgery in his schnozola. Now, I don't know if he has polyps. I don't know if he has breathing issues, but I've had that surgery, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have had that surgery in the past. He could have suffered a broken nose in the past, and it hasn't healed right. But the fact that he has to get some type of nose surgery, it's got to be affecting his breathing a little bit. Now, as far as worked blood yesterday, no one truly knows the level of it. From what I was told today, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, I asked someone who was there and saw a little bit more than I probably would have seen, and they said to me that he definitely bladed on top, but they also put blood around his nose because they want to sell the nose injury. And if you go back and you look at it, it's the spot where Gunther, for some reason, stood on the announcer's table and he was bragging about how he was the best in the world and he was taking care of business with CM Punk, and CM Punk dropped his legs from underneath him. And when Gunther fell, Gunther landed on his shoulder. And I swear on God, my wife is not a journalist. She's just a regular wrestling fan like all of us. And when Gunther went down, he went under the table. And when he came out and he had the crimson mask, the first words out of my wife's mouth, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if she said it, millions of people said it. She's like, where did he get hurt? Didn't he land on his arm? And I was like, yeah, I don't know where he got hurt. I mean, at the time, we didn't know anything about no surgery. But if you go watch the spot, he landed on his shoulder. But the idea of the two go-to-sleeps, if you go back before even the two go-to-sleeps, you go back and you see Gunther when he goes back in the ring and he sees that he has the blood and he's freaking out and everything. Pay attention to what he does with his nose, because he's bleeding from up here and he's literally taking the blood from up here and going like this. And then you realize, okay, he's acting like, oh, my nose. I just fogged up my glasses doing that. So Gunther was selling that he landed nose first on the table. And then CM Punk did the go to sleep and Gunther was back, but he didn't fall. And I don't know if he was supposed to do two, but maybe the first one didn't connect the way Gunther thought it should. And he was selling kind of like what Kamala used to do. Remember when Kamala used to be in matches and you would hit him and he'd just be like, and he would never fall and then he'd finally fall? No finger poke of doom either. But when CM Punk hit the second one, he went right down. And then that's how the match ended. So Gunther has to get some type of surgery, rumored, on his nose. So this sells Gunther being out of action. Now, I've already seen people complaining, why did you take the belt off of Jey Uso? So Gunther could take on Goldberg and then just drop it to CM Punk, who dropped it to Seth Rollins. What you did Jay dirty. I could imagine Rikishi tomorrow. Brother, he did all that, brother. And Gunther's not even a champion anymore, brother. Jay, brother, you don't see what they're doing to you, brother. First of all, you want CM Punk to beat Jey Uso at SummerSlam? No. You want Seth Rollins to cash in on a briefcase to Jey Uso or somebody else? No. Having Gunther lose it to CM Punk was the right call. We had a 30-minute fun match. It's not easy. It's not easy to perform in front of 53,000 fans, main eventing a pay-per-view, and then give us a wrestling clinic. If you noticed, most of the people who complained about Gunther versus CM Punk night one are the ones who really focus on work rate. The ones that will tell us for years that Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan is one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history, not understanding the emotional side of it. Most of the people complaining want star ratings. All right, this was psychological. Gunther and CM Punk, I've showed some footage, especially for our channel members. They get video versions of some of my shows that are usually audio only. CM Punk and Goldberg fought numerous times during the holiday season, Christmas 2024, and they killed it. But the way those matches were done were different. One being a cage match, one happening in Austria. The environment is a little different, so you have to do it a little bit different. Yesterday, put on a performance. CM Punk, who is older now. CM Punk, who's had numerous injuries. I'm not defending CM Punk. I'm still blocked on all of his social media for God knows how long. But the story yesterday was simple. CM Punk, up there in age, injury prone, not going to have that many years left. And he needs to become world champion again. And Gunther is just beating the shit out of him. Every time CM Punk would get a little bit of leverage, here's Gunther. Whether it's a chop or it's a kick or whatever it is, Gunther had a counter over and over and over again. And that was 30 minutes of what you would call like just clinically, just slowly chopping something down. And Gunther, unfortunately, his demise was standing on an announcer's table and bragging. And as a result, he gets tripped up, quote unquote, hurts his nose, gets bloodied open. CM Punk hits him with 2 go-to-sleeps, the second one connecting on his nose, and he loses the championship. It's a hell of a lot better than you tapped out. You tapped out. You tapped out. So I enjoyed that match yesterday. Some people thought it went a little bit too long. Again, you're not going to be able to please everybody out there. But overall, I thought that match really, really delivered yesterday. As far as favorite match of the night, least favorite match of the night, yesterday would probably be a toss-up between Gunther and CM Punk, and believe it or not, Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre. Yeah, I understand what that match really was. To me, the star of that match, and I hate to say it because I don't like this man at all, Logan Paul. Logan Paul made that match. If you pay close attention to everything Logan Paul did in that match, you understand why WWE puts him in that position. He just had it yesterday. I have definitely turned the corner about Jelly Roll. I don't want to see Jelly Roll wrestle again. But the amount of training that he put in, and, Michael Cole said something yesterday to me that really, really stuck to me. That really stuck to me. I think it's probably nice we put those in the corner. I was paying attention to how much weight Jelly Roll lost. Now, I used to weigh 365 pounds. 1 pound more than Big John Studd used to be. Shout out to anybody who knows what I'm talking about. I used to weigh 365. I lost a decent amount of weight about 10 years ago. But I lost it from dieting. I lost it from counting calories. I didn't lose it from exercising and working out. And what Michael Cole said yesterday, I thought was spot on, is you can lose all the weight you want, but losing the weight doesn't give you cardio. And the thing that I was paying attention to is to see how blown up Jelly Roll would get at 300 pounds. And remember, that guy was in the 4s. That's like beyond Crusher Blackwell weight. And he delivered. He delivered. I love that he lost. You know why I love that he lost? For those that did not tune into my prediction show last Monday, I brought up something that I still expect to come out. I will almost guarantee you this will come out. What I've noticed with some people, and it's happened more in AEW, and I think it'll happen here too, is when some people question a match or some participants in a match or the outcome of a match, you get like news a day later, 4 days later that, oh, the person was willing to do the job in this match. Remember, the Young Bucks, they reported that Sting said that he was fine losing to the Young Bucks because people were complaining that Sting had the video game career in AEW. When Will Ospreay and Hangman Page were battling for the #1 contendership, if I remember, oh, Will Ospreay and Hangman Page both lobbied to have the other person win. If I'm a promoter and I'm booking a match with an outcome and my two wrestlers are telling me he should win. No, he should win. No, I'm cool. Let him win. He deserves it. No, I suspend you both. I just say, yes, boss, no problem. But you get this weird, so-and-so was willing. I guarantee you're going to hear that Jelly Roll was going to win this match, but Jelly Roll was fine. He was content with losing. He's not a wrestler. So he felt that he should lose this match, being an outsider. Even though he took the match, you watch that comes out. But you know what? Jelly Roll might be the exception to the rule where I say, okay, cool. Because you remember, especially those god-awful Raw guest host days, how many of those celebrities back then that went into business for themselves because for some reason their personal ego or their career ego would take a hit because a heel would insult them on Monday Night Raw? How many times, you remember back then? We understand, when a heel confronts a celebrity, unless it's set up that the celebrity is supposed to get one up, the celebrity is supposed to take it and let the heel be an absolute asshole to get more heat on the heel and a little bit more sympathy on it. And they would ad lib. One of the most notorious ones was Kevin Federline. You look back at the Raw guest hosts, how many of them? I remember Jericho having a confrontation with somebody once, and Jericho's doing his shtick, and he's doing it well. And then you could see, the actors, throwing these extra lines in there that for a fact was not supposed to. And Jericho, it's almost like, shut the fuck up. Let me do what I'm supposed to do. So to see some even people that sit at ringside, even some people that sing at ringside, they get a little bit too into the spot and they feel like, okay, like somebody is putting me down. No, we ain't having that. And they get to do a little bit extra. Or they see something happening, and instead of letting the professionals do what they do, they try to get involved because they think it's the right way to do, the right thing to do. My favorite one that we just covered on a history show about 3 weeks ago. Remember? With Don Callis in Mexico. This was, I think was it during COVID still? When Takeshita was feuding with Kenny Omega, and then Kenny Omega lost the match, and he was at Triple Mania, and he's on the baseball field, and suddenly Takeshita shows up, I think attacks him, and Don Callis is giving him the boot, and there's a media guy that thinks, oh, this is supposed to be a pull-apart, so he pulls Don Callis off of the guy. Remember Alvarez and Meltzer? Oh, he was assaulted by a fan. This is a shoot. This really happened. He had a concussion. He had a busted eardrum. You go back and you watch the footage. All he does is pull Don Callis off, and you hear Don Callis going, Conan! Complaining, Conan! But some people get into the moment a little bit too much, and they don't understand, your role is to, know your role and shut your mouth. So I give props. To Jelly Roll. The selling was a little bit much, if we're being honest. Where he looked like he was crying as he's walking to the back. He's like, hey, let everybody down. I guarantee he was probably thinking like, where's that what kind of keto donut am I going to eat later? But when he turned around and saw Randy getting beat down, like the sweat is in his eyes, and he looks around, he's like, I can't have that. And it wasn't even a Hulk up. He just bolted to the ring and started just acting like nothing ever happened. So I thought that was a little goofy, but in the end, he got pinned. Couple of other things off the top of my head. Trying to think. We'll get into individual match results. I'm just looking at the match. Okay, we could talk about a few other things. Because look, we're giving a review. I got some notes that I have here. A couple of things right off the bat. Here's a miss from tonight. Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu in a cage. First of all, the camera work when Jacob Fatu got handcuffed. I mean, that even if the camera, I think, was focused on Jacob Fatu, it was cheesy because you would have bought those handcuffs from Temu. Jacob Fatu is handcuffed to the top of the cage from Tala Tonga, the MFT, who I call mid forever Tonga. I'm sorry. I know Tala Tonga has an aspiring future. You know, he looks kind of like if a Samoan had sex with a young Sean Waltman and gave birth to a 7-foot freak. But to me, MFT stands for Mid Forever Tonga. They had that motherfucker doing so much stuff tonight. He's handcuffing this person. He's doing a kick here. He's doing that. He slams the door on Jacob's head. And he handcuffs Jacob Fatu at the top of the cage. Jacob Fatu's looking like, what the fuck do I do now? Now, personally, there should have been something set up there where Jacob could have pulled his arm up and rip a piece of the metal off the top of the cage. That would have been badass. Even if the metal would have slid off and he just had the handcuff in his hand. But Jacob Fatu is just standing there, and then you see the camera. Now, they show the replay after, but you see the camera, and Jacob Fatu just does this. Just does this. And it snaps off. I'm like, I hope no fucking cop ever arrests Jacob Fatu. I mean, wherever they bought those handcuffs, I couldn't even use those handcuffs to like kidnap somebody in my house. You imagine if I would say, hey, Tala, give me a set of handcuffs. I'm going to kidnap somebody tomorrow. And he gives me the handcuffs and I handcuff somebody to the bed. I'm like, I'm going to go get some groceries. And when I come back, then I'm going to take care of you, if you know what I mean. And as soon as I leave, that person's like, ding, and it's the handcuffs break and they run away. And then I get arrested, 25 years to life. It looks so bad. If you're going to have it snapped that easy, jump off the fucking top rope. Go do a dive, do something. And like that motherfucker risked breaking his arm, dove off the top rope, and it snapped off as he was going. That's what I would have done. It was just a very, very weak cage match. Did not like it at all. Then afterwards, the camera work was even worse. You got JC Mateo and Tangaloa, the other Samoan meat. And they're in the ring because Jimmy, and that's another thing. Soon as Jacob loses, Solo Sikoa rolls out of the ring, Jimmy Uso is acting like Jelly Roll yesterday. Jimmy Uso was laid out for like 6-7 minutes. And the minute Solo wins, suddenly here's Jimmy Uso throwing super kicks. Like everything's probably like, where the fuck have you been? Where's Jay? Where's Roman? Was there a sausage truck outside? Like nobody else gets involved? So that was bad. And then on top of it, and we'll get into some of your feedback in a second, guys, I promise you. There's one other match I want to talk about for a second, and then we'll put this a little organized. Then after, when Jimmy puts JC Mateo and the other Matarats in the ring and closes it and leaves Jacob Fatu with, those two in there, he's beating them up, and then he climbs to the top of the rope, to the top rope, and then he looks at the top of the cage and does a snooker. He decides he's going to climb to the top of the cage, and he's going to do the moonsault from the top of the cage. Beautiful moonsault. But they put the cameraman right behind JC Mateo and Tangaloa. And you see Jacob Fatu getting in position. And this might have been worse than when Io Sky was putting the garbage can over her head during War Games, and everybody is standing up and they're looking, they're like, hurry up already. Hurry up and jump. Like they're literally standing there and they're looking at, they're like, and meanwhile, I'm like, if that was Samoa Joe, if you ever watch Samoa Joe matches, the minute Jacob Fatu does the moonsault, Samoa Joe just walks away. And if there's any consolation tonight, and I say this jokingly, it looks like Tangaloa really banged his head on the mat. So if there is a Samoan God out there, we find out that, he might need to take a couple of years off. Don't like that man at all. Don't like that man at all. One other match. Sorry. We're batting it. Oh, look at this. There we go. That's Lyra and Becky saying, I'm going to fuck his page up so he can't criticize it. Almost everybody and their mother predicted Lyra Valkyria to win tonight, including me. Lyra Valkyria has built herself up so good that, and of the two women's championships that they recently created, I thought she did a spectacular job with it. And I'm wondering if Becky Lynch ultimately will join up with the Vision, which is the rumored name of Seth Rollins' faction going forward, the Vision. Apparently, there's some news sources out there. I don't know if FIFO's the first one to put it out there, but WWE trademarked it yesterday, or filed for a trademark yesterday, the Vision. So, Lyra works her ass off tonight, and so did Becky. But there was one point during the match where Lyra got zip-tied. She got zip-tied. And, she's doing everything she possibly can to fight in this match while her hands are zip-tied. And she was spectacular. And they're trying to figure out, how does she get out of these zip ties? Now, what Lyra should have realized that, we're in Jersey. You could have went to ringside, and I guarantee you there was a bunch of motherfuckers out there that had knives in their pockets. Anybody got a knife? Could you cut this for me? Even people who light up, hey, could you just light the plastic and melt it? So Lyra's just looking around. You know how she does like this? She's like, whoa, what am I going to do? Where am I going to find something to break the zip ties? So she's trying to figure out how to break the zip ties. She undoes a turnbuckle. And he's like, oh, I'll use the ring post. How many people got their head smashed in an exposed ring post over the years? And this motherfucker thinks that ring post is sharp? You're literally taking a zip tie and you're rubbing it against metal. So that looked ridiculous. Then she took a fire extinguisher, and I have a fire extinguisher inside, and I literally grabbed it because it looks like the same one I got because I bought it for my office. And I'm like, there's nothing sharp on here. Why would something be sharp on a fire extinguisher? And Wade Barrett's like, oh yeah, I heard that in the UK. If your fucking house is on fire and you grab a giant fire extinguisher, you want to just grab it and just fucking push the thing and put out the fire. You don't want to fucking say, ooh, I cut my finger. Oh, fuck. And meanwhile, there's blood. They're not sharp on the thing, so she's trying to do that. What I would have done is they took the toolbox out. They should have had a pair of wire cutters or hedge clippers or scissors or something in the toolbox. Or, the first aid kit at ringside. And literally grab it with your mouth and literally walk up to a fan and say, and have the fan cut it. But no, what does Lyra do? She can't get it cut from the fire extinguisher. She rolls in the ring, under the ring. And when she rolls out of the ring, it's magic. It's a miracle. There's no zip ties. Am I lying, guys? She rolled under the ring and comes out, and there's no zip ties. Obviously, there was plan B or plan C. It was just goofy. And then she lost. And Bayley has a little sympathy. Then she gets into it with Becky. Now, I almost feel like I know where this is going. Bayley will probably dethrone Becky, and then Bayley will take on Lyra down the line, and that could be where this is going. That could be where this is going. But the stipulation that Lyra could no longer challenge for the women's Intercontinental Championship, as long as Becky is champion, that's not as big of a deal as you realize. If you tune into my other shows, we've run down that stipulation in other matches. Most recent one was Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Now, think about those two guys. If Damian Priest was the one that would never get a title shot again, when was the last time that Drew McIntyre won the championship and Damian Priest was in a position that he would fight Drew again for the belt? Nothing. Now look at the opposite. When was the last time that Damian Priest is a world champion and Drew McIntyre was in a position that he could challenge Damian Priest again? Nothing. So the idea that the stars align and Becky is still a champion down the line and Lyra isn't, that's probably not going to happen. And guess what? It doesn't apply to the women's championship. In the future, Becky Lynch could be the women's champion and Lyra could fight her for the belt. The stipulation has nothing to do with the women's championship, just the women's intercontinental championship. So it's not as big of a deal as it sounds. So although I would have liked to have seen Lyra, because I think Lyra right now, she has won over a majority of the WWE universe. She's won me over. But now what do you do? What do you do? She's not going to feud with Becky Lynch anymore. Bayley, for the most part, was trying to help her tonight. Yes, the inadvertent shot at the end of the match that caused Lyra's loss. But if Lyra has instant replay, she'll watch it back and she'll realize, oh, Bayley was really trying to help me. I know. You shouldn't have gotten involved at all. I know. So before we get into some individual match results, let's share a little bit of your feedback. And I give a shout out to everybody who's live with me tonight. Usually we do a episode of the sit down where it's basically just discussion about whatever you guys want to talk about. We'll return to the normal format next Sunday night at 8:05 p.m. So I hope you could join me then. And definitely post your comments later. Tell me your feedback about SummerSlam. If you disagree with anything that I said. I will say something about Nick Hogan in a moment, because I want to clear up something that some people are trying to spread online about Brooke. Ronnie C. Thank you, Ronnie, for the 10 spot. He says, I'm glad that Rollins is okay, but I'm really starting to hate how WWE is hot-shotting titles. Yeah, people are still calling these holy shit moments, but the more they do this, the less it feels like one. I get it. I know it feels like an automatic with the briefcase, but again, as long as people still pop for that listen, when you think about WrestleMania, I'll give you a good one. I just thought of this. I want to see how many of you tonight with Cena and Cody, if you felt this. I want to know if I was the only one. I'm going to throw something out there that I guarantee you almost nobody out there has brought up yet. WWE, because of viral moments, especially with social media, it's more about viral moments than anything else. IShowSpeed, you're in the Rumble, right? All right. Yeah, we kind of wish that a wrestler that's more deserving was in it, but at least Bron Breakker fucking speared him out of his fucking head. Viral moment. You see Logan Paul doing the dive with the fucking phone. Viral moment. You see even things that happen with wrestlers themselves. Viral moment. WWE's more about viral moments when the time is fitting. So because of how, and trust me, in the next 24 hours, you're going to hear, 180 billion trillion views were seen for this spot. That's what it's all about. As long as it creates these gigantic viral moments, you're going to get cash-ins like this. And as long as people still pop, they'll keep doing it. Doesn't happen all the time. And when do we start replacing Edge with Seth Rollins as the ultimate opportunist? Back in the day, Edge was known as the ultimate opportunist. I'm starting to think that Seth Rollins may have earned to that role. If you don't want to take it away from Edge, you can add it to Seth Rollins. Okay. Something else tonight. I want to know how many of you felt this. Right after Cody Rhodes defeated John Cena for the World Championship, they had a beautiful moment in the center of the ring. And Cena was saying some very kind words to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes saying some kind words back. And they had this beautiful hug. And for a split second, I said, holy fuck. Could you imagine if Cody puts that same look on his face like Cena did at WrestleMania? Oh, excuse me, Elimination Chamber? Holy fuck. How many of you out there, when they had the hug tonight, you looked at it and you like, holy shit, you don't know. No, didn't happen. But if you go back and if you missed it, go back and watch the hug. And you'll see that one moment where they put the camera on Cody's face. And I'm like, holy shit, if they do that same look. But it goes against everything I've said up until last week. They're not turning Cody Rhodes heel anytime soon. He's too much of an ambassador for WWE. He is too much of a hardcore babyface. He's too much of a, top guy right now. He is the one who does all the media. There's nobody to replace that right now. And you're not going to have Cody try to build a heel character, but then be uber professional everywhere he goes. It's not going to work. These people out there that, listen, the reason why Cody got a lot of heel heat during that match, it's because of nostalgia. Something I brought up on last week's prediction show. And thank you, Ronnie, for that. Something I brought up on last week's prediction show. If you remember WrestleMania 41, I remember Peter Rosenberg especially. And yes, bad take. WWE made him have that bad take. He was saying that Cody Rhodes and John Cena could end up being like The Rock and Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania. They were trying to push that idea way back at WrestleMania 41. And I thought it was ridiculously stupid because you had just started with John Cena as being a heel. And if they were going to, especially they were going to continue the Travis Scott shit and The Rock, you're not going to have, that happen. You're trying to make Cena more of a heel and Cody more of a babyface. But last week, I said that this match at SummerSlam could be more of the vibe of Cena, of Rock Hogan than WrestleMania 41, because what happened at Rock Hogan WrestleMania was nostalgia. We talked about it last week with the passing of Hulk Hogan. You go back and you watch that match and you just focus on the fans. Those weren't just wrestling fans that were just hung up in the moment that, this WrestleMania is awesome and they're losing their shit. No, those were Hulkamaniacs that remember 14 years earlier, or it was 2003, so it was 19 years earlier. That, oh my God, look, he still can do it. So you had nostalgia and you're seeing him hang with Rock. And fans got into that, and they got behind it. And props to Rock and Hogan, who sensed that and went with it. And in the end, the right person won that match. But nostalgia and getting those moments of, years back, you feel it. And look, a lot of the people that were at SummerSlam tonight may have never been John Cena fans, or they were not John Cena fans since Thugonomics. But seeing Cena, I truthfully believe this. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I thought tonight was the hardest I've seen John Cena work in years. The amount that those guys put in tonight, that's the most I've seen John Cena put in a match in years. He worked his ass off tonight. I think his match tonight with Cody Rhodes is the hardest match he's going to have for the rest of the year? I don't know. But I thought the match tonight gave me more of Hogan Rock vibes because of the nostalgia factor. The fans ultimately got more behind John Cena. Now, when it comes to Brock Lesnar, I don't know where you go with this. I don't know if John Cena, Brock Lesnar is the end game. I mean, with all due respect, you're not going to top what John Cena and Brock Lesnar did years ago. And many of us still remember that match where Brock Lesnar beat the balls out of Cena, and it was completely one-sided. And us as fans at that time felt it was a gift given by WWE. Like, all right, everyone out there that always wanted to see Cena get his ass kicked by Lesnar, here you go. I don't know if you're going to segue Cody Brock again, or if someone else is going to come to the defense of John Cena, or is Brock Lesnar a hired gun? Any of those are possibilities, but I just feel, unless they already did Saudi Arabia. Remember we thought we might see Cena and Brock in Saudi Arabia? I don't feel that. I don't think many people want, and even if John Cena were to beat Brock Lesnar, what does that do? John Cena's retiring in 4 months. Brock Lesnar still has years left. Why would you sacrifice any aura that Brock Lesnar still has just to give John Cena a win back? To me, I don't like it. Someone I think is going to come to the defense of Cena, and maybe that person ultimately has a match with Brock. I just don't feel Cena and Brock. I just don't feel it. I don't care if it's Saudi Arabia, Australia, New York, Texas. Do we want one of Cena's final matches to be with Lesnar? I don't know about that. And how, unless you do a tag. Could you do a tag? Who teams up with Lesnar? Just brainstorming right now because it just happened tonight. But obviously, I think in 1 week, we should have an idea. So I'm looking at the matches overall. I'm just trying to see if anything else catches my eye. Okay, we could mention quickly. I'll bring up some notes. Should we do it in order? Should we? Yeah, we could run some of these matches in order. We've already run an hour. We don't need to beat these matches to death. I mean, we could just have some quick thoughts and an overview. I will say this from tonight. Cardi B. I'm not a Cardi B fan. I don't dislike her. I just never been into her stuff. Never been into her shtick. Nothing. I truly think even the biggest Cardi B fans that are wrestling fans that are hearing what I'm about to say will agree with me. They hyped her up for years. She was going to do it years ago, and I think she had to have a kid. And then finally, oh my God, we got Cardi B for SummerSlam weekend. And she literally comes out for night one, and she welcomes everyone to SummerSlam. And she walks off, and that was it. That was it. She was not there for night two. She never got into it with Naomi. She was shown sitting at ringside rooting for Jade Cargill. But was it worth all of that? I mean, I thought she was physically going to get involved, throw a shot at somebody, be in the corner of somebody, be a little bit more involved. And I'm not saying I wanted it or didn't want it, but I was like, how much money did they pay her to do that? She pulled the Lex Luger tonight. I mean, she didn't even show up for night two. That's my take on that. Drewski who I have never really paid any attention to. That guy, I liked. I liked his 2 intros for both nights, hyping up WrestleMania. Drewski, no issues with. The ones who performed, Breland, who did the night before, and then tonight, who was it tonight? It was Tiger Lily Gold, I believe it was. No issues there. Fat Joe got a nice pop on Saturday night. Tinica Younger, never really paid attention to her, was in the crowd. Stephanie was in the crowd. Mr. Iguana and Psycho Clown. You would think that AAA only has 2 wrestlers in it. They're shown everywhere. Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny XO, which I've never seen before. What I did get a kick out of tonight, and we'll get to Nick Hogan. I know I was going to say something earlier. I got to pull up the names. So tonight at SummerSlam, Sunday night, you had Tyrese Halliburton, who legitimately is on crutches. He had torn Achilles. He had surgery on it. John Cena used one of his crutches tonight in the match. He was there. Michelle McCool was there. Nick Hogan was there. Jelly Roll was sitting front row for night 2. Russell Wilson, big time quarterback, the newest quarterback for the New York Giants, which I'm kind of hyped about. He was there ringside. But the funniest one of them all, and it's not on him, Metro Boomin. I'm going to just say it. What is it with black hip-hop artist and Michael Cole? If you go back and you watch Netflix episodes on Monday Night Raw and some premium live events, especially when it's on Netflix, 9 times out of 10, whenever there is a black hip-hop artist shown sitting ringside, Michael Cole always seems to add "my guy." Oh, look, wait, it's my guy, Metro Boomin, my guy. We were taking pictures earlier. If you probably never noticed it, but I have noticed it almost every time, and it's always a hip-hop artist, and it's always somebody black. And Michael Cole always say, "Look, it's my guy." Go, think I'm wrong? Go look it up. Dudleys were there. Hardys were, oh, shit, we got to talk about that match. Dudleys and Hardys were there. And apparently Devon will be healthy enough to work Bound for Glory in October. Can't believe it. I'm shocked. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Obviously, they will protect him. Hardys know what to do. Bubba Ray knows what to do. But they were sitting there to pay tribute to the TLC match tonight. Was celebrating 25 years from Edge, Christian, and the Hardys from TLC 2000. As far as Nick Hogan, okay, if you heard my report on Wednesday, I think it was, Brooke Hogan put out a very powerful statement about the passing of Hulk Hogan. And what I found kind of fascinating about it, if you notice, is that almost no wrestling news site has covered it. And a lot of non-wrestling news sites and entertainment sites have not covered it either. And she reveals a little bit more about her father. And she reveals some health stuff, which is interesting because almost every entertainment site refuses to mention that Hulk Hogan had valve surgery. And, we've talked about it. You know how serious that was. But the thing is, and this is why Brooke Hogan, Brooke Bolea, Brooke, whatever you want to call her, was not at SmackDown, was not at Raw, and was not at SummerSlam. Brooke feels she does not trust anybody in Hulk Hogan's inner circle. And if you notice, she never mentions her brother in her statement, and she never attempts to clear anything up about her brother in a statement. She does not trust anybody in Hulk Hogan's inner circle to the point that she had herself removed from Hulk Hogan's will. These assholes in the wrestling dirt sheet world, they're saying that Hogan cut his daughter out of his will. That's a fucking lie. She requested not to be in the will because she didn't trust anybody in his inner circle, and she didn't want to have to hire lawyers and fight and this and that. So that is the reason why Brooke is not around, because the people that were in Hulk Hogan's inner circle are the ones you will see at a WWE event, backstage at a WWE event. With all due respect, some of your podcasters were many of his inner circle. And we also realized that Hulk Hogan's racist comments in 2007 was 2007, 18 years ago. And many of his Hulkamaniacs always wanted Hulk Hogan to just come out and apologize a little bit more, go on some speaking engagements and kind of like, show us more. And I am convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that a lot of Hulk Hogan's inner circle have convinced this man, Hulk, you know in your heart you're a good person. They don't see all the times that you take care of people who have cancer, people who are of African-American descent. You're a good man. You don't need, the haters are going to hate. Just keep doing what you're doing, brother. And Hulk Hogan was very, very shielded amongst those people. I'm not going to call those people evil. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is this is the reason why you will not see Brooke Hogan at the same place that you're going to see Eric Bischoff, or you're going to see Nick Hogan, or you see anything like that. You're not going to see it. That's why. So when people are like, she wasn't invited, that's fucked up. Even if she was invited, she probably would turn it down because she doesn't want to be around any of the people that she feels really burnt Hulk Hogan into the ground. Hulk Hogan, real American beer, brother. We're going to buy Hooters, brother. We're going to open up this place in the city, brother. We're going to open up a shop in Arizona, brother. Florida, brother. We're going to debut egg rolls, brother. We're going to do real American wrestling, brother. You're going to do this, brother. You're going to go here, brother. Brother. Meanwhile, the motherfucker's having valve surgery, leukemia. He's not in the greatest of health. Brother. Yeah, but that's what Hulk wanted to do. So I'm not justifying it or knocking it. I just want you to understand why Brooke Hogan is not around the same organized events as others who were close to Hulk Hogan. I wanted to throw it out there because unfortunately many people will not do that. So, all right. Before we get into some other results, can I just say one very quick thing about this TLC match tonight? Holy shit. Anybody who follows my shows knows later this year you should hear some news about Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. You give it a little time. You'll hear about Karrion, Kross, and Scarlett. You'll hear it about Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae and a few others. I'm not going to sit here and remind everyone the names. If you don't tune into the shows, hey, if you're new, welcome aboard. But some people's contracts are coming up soon. Not tomorrow, but they're going to be coming up soon. And what some people in the news world will do is they will Google 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and see who signed or re-signed with WWE. Because normally WWE will spit out 3-year contracts, sometimes a 2. Very rarely do they do a 1. And that's why you will suddenly hear 6-7 months before a contract expires, oh, reports are that WWE has not reached a new agreement with Karrion, Kross, and Scarlett yet. This was discussed in March. Remember WrestleMania? Remember WrestleMania when he did that promo? Like people are fucking leaking out my contract shit? Let this sink in, my friends. His contract doesn't run out until the fall. Almost the winter. Tell me what business on planet Earth where you book someone to a contract for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 20 years, and you have to negotiate a new contract 7 months in advance? Why was the Kross contract a story? Why was it a story? Did you ever take a step back and say, why are these motherfuckers bringing this up in March or in April? Why? Because remember what I said earlier about Meltzer and post-wrestling. every motherfucker's got to be the first person on print. So when something does become a news story, oh yeah, so-and-so reported in March. Yeah, my friends, I'll give you some breaking news right now. Ric Flair will pass away soon. May not happen in a week. It may not happen for a month, a year, 10 years. But my sources tell me, Ric Flair, he's not in the greatest of health. People are concerned that his time could be coming soon. Ooh, DT was the first. No, I wasn't. So-and-so's contract is coming up. Yeah, if you do a Google search and you see, oh my God, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae signed in 2022. They didn't get released or re-signed in 2024. So that means their contract's probably going to run out in late 2025. You haven't seen it yet, but my point out of all of this is I think Candice LeRae tonight showed WWE why I think you should re-sign me. I'm willing to fucking do the most. She took a bump tonight that I tell you, I remember Meechin. Anybody remember Meechin in NXT when was she the one that took the bump on the wooden ladder? Someone in the chat room, please. I got to make sure I'm right on this one. I'm pretty certain I'm right. She took a bump on a wooden ladder, and I watched it, and I'm like, yes, everybody's saying yes. Thank you. I remember watching, and I was like, man, talk about someone who's really, really committed to doing whatever it takes. Now, you shouldn't have to do that to solidify your position, but I'm like, that's balls, man. That is balls. Because I probably wouldn't even do that spot into a pool. And literally there was a spot tonight that people didn't see it, where Candice LeRae, she gets involved in the TLC match. So does B-Fab. So does Nikki Cross. They pretend like they're going to go for the belt. And there's one point where Candice LeRae climbs the ladder. And while she's on the ladder, near the top of the ladder, she can't reach the belts suspended in the air. The ladder's too much to the right. We would soon find out why the ladder was too much to the right. You have DIY in the ring as well. And Johnny Gargano is standing right near the ladder. And Tommaso Ciampa is a little bit more towards the other side of the ring. Somebody pushes Ciampa into Gargano, and Gargano hits the ladder. And like a bad cartoon, Candice LeRae goes off the ladder, off outside to the ring, through another ladder. And to me, that was the craziest spot of the entire weekend. What made it even better was when Johnny Gargano was looking outside the ring and she's like unconscious. And because he wants to win the titles back, he looks at her and he's like, okay, you're good. And he goes back into the match and I fucking lost it. I hope she's okay. Because that was a scary, scary spot. Even if you go through a table, I've gone through some tables over the years and, they hurt, but not that bad. The ladder, man, you ain't dropping me on metal. You are not dropping me on metal. I don't care what it is. That was some scary, scary shit. And everybody in that match killed it. Wyatt Six did retain. But for some people, that might even be a match of the night. Let's just quickly run down a couple of things as far as the show. They honored Hulk Hogan, which they should. I'll tell you one other thing I thought was funny. I'm sure by now a lot of you know that Triple H was at the White House. And as part of the Make America Healthy Again campaign, that Triple H is part of that, and he is going to be like a spokesperson, this and that. And he's there for physical fitness. And I can't help but to notice SummerSlam this weekend. Now, I don't want SummerSlam to be sponsored by carrots. I don't want it to be sponsored by Diet Coke. But you look at every fucking edible sponsor for SummerSlam. You got honey wings. You got ice cream cones. I mean, everything that they were selling is like not good for you. And it's kind of hypocritical. WWE, do as I say, not as what we do. I mean, every fucking sponsor is not very good for you. I thought that was pretty fucking funny. I was like, yeah, let me order everything that WWE is sponsoring tonight. Believe it or not, the Slim Jims might be the best. It's keto. I don't know if they have a keto Slim Jim, but even I don't think they use too much sugar. I mean, everything is like not good for you, and they sponsor everything. So, all right, very quickly. I don't want to overstay my welcome. I laughed my ass off that some people's podcasts last night recapping SummerSlam was longer than SummerSlam. Okay. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso defeat Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. It was a hot crowd to open it up. I loved how Paul Heyman was wearing Roman Reigns' Jordans like as a trophy from the week before for Monday Night Raw. For me, this was a fun match. It went 20 minutes. For me, what made the match that much more, two things. You could feel that the guys in this match were having fun. If you understand what I mean by that, you feel it. Roman Reigns was legitimately having fun. Jey Uso was having a ball. Bron Breakker was in an element you could see in the future. All right, that guy just has it. I was fucking laughing when the crowd was serenading Roman Reigns yesterday, and Bron has Jey Uso in the middle of the ring, and I think he's got like a headlock, or some type of lock on Jey Uso, and he looks over to Roman, and just with this sarcastic asshole voice, Bron just looks at Roman and goes, Roman Reigns. It was just, I couldn't stop laughing. He was doing some Scott Steiner mannerisms. He does it with the push-ups now. There was even one part, when luckily for all of you, I'm not going to take my shirt off. I don't want to scare anybody tonight. But he would take like his straps and drop it down. And when he does that, it's usually like where he means business. Like he'll drop it, and then he finishes. Yesterday, he drops them down, and he puts them back up, and a fucking crowd popped. And then he took them down again. Bron Breakker was tremendous in this match. Bronson Reed ate the pin, but Bronson Reed did a great job as well. I saw, they're trying to build up, this group, and how could you have Bron and Bronson Reed? Did you not see like what happened to Roman, where Seth, turned on him, Paul Heyman, and where does he get his revenge? SummerSlam, we may end up getting fucking bloodline war games. So we may get Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins once. I don't know. But, they did not lose any momentum yesterday. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso getting the victory was the right way to go. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, without their leader there, is kind of the reason why they slipped up a little bit. That's all that was. There was some scary moments. Not scary, but Roman Reigns did a dive to the outside. Kind of like launched himself a little bit too much. Bronson Reed did a suicide dive to the outside as well. But the move that everybody is talking about is obviously when Bron Breakker tried to do his run and instead he ate a Superman punch. Then he got speared through the barricades. There was one point where Bron Breakker dove like he does onto the announcer's table with Roman Reigns. And, for a little while, we were a little bit concerned. Even you look at the commentators, they looked a little bit concerned as well. Thank God Roman was fine. But there's one point where we think we're going to see a tsunami onto Jey Uso, and then here comes Roman Reigns out of nowhere with a Superman punch to Bronson Reed. And then you saw Jey Uso and Roman hit the 1D, which was pretty cool. But the story that will continue from this match, and the commentators made certain to bring it up, is that during Roman Reigns' entire run as the tribal chief, the leader of the bloodline, Roman had everybody else do shit for him. And it's perceived that Roman didn't do anything reciprocal. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but there was one point yesterday where Roman Reigns took a bullet, so to speak, for Jey Uso. Bronson Reed was going to hit a spear on Jey Uso, and Roman pushed Jey out of the way, and he ate the spear. And Roman was selling it like $1 trillion. There was even one point where he was holding his midsection, and I think Jey wanted to check on him, and he pushed him aside, get away. And the story coming out of this is that Roman Reigns, one of the first times ever, he put himself in harm's way to help Jey Uso. Ultimately, Jey would hit the spear onto Bronson Reed and then the splash for the victory. And then you see some cell phone footage of Roman and Jey Uso afterwards. They were having fun. Bron Breakker limped to the back, but as I said at the beginning of the show, it appears that it was just banged up from the match. Hopefully there is no injury there. Not storyline. Everybody is 100%. People visibly saw his knee swollen, that area. So he should be fine. He should be fine. But it was an excellent match to open up. It was the right call to open up with them. What makes me happy is we don't have to complain about curtain jerkers anymore. It was not that many years ago people would complain about curtain jerkers. Why is this person opening up the match? Why are they curtain jerker? Now we get pretty fucking main event matches. Oh, and here's something else. If you remember the predictions on Monday, we thought this tag match would close SummerSlam. And I said, if Gunther and CM Punk end up closing SummerSlam, I'm going with CM Punk to win the belt. Did not think that Seth Rollins would cash in. But again, we always still had that thought like, okay, some things don't add up with Seth Rollins. That interview was the one that sold me on it. A match that, I tell you the truth, I don't remember if anybody predicted Charlotte. No, actually they did. There's another match where every single person got the prediction wrong. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss win the women's tag team championships over Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. This was a good match. It was very, very wonky at times. Charlotte and Raquel do not work very good together. They do not work very good together. Maybe because they don't get an opportunity very much to work with each other. But the story of this match is we had a faux pas later on in the match where Alexa Bliss, she tried to hit Raquel Rodriguez, but Raquel moved out of the way and Alexa Bliss wailed Charlotte Flair. And some people thought, oh, Charlotte Flair, she's going to get too pissed off and she's going to take it out on her partner and they're going to lose. Well, that didn't happen. Alexa Bliss stopped Pop Rocks. And we thought that Charlotte Flair was going to nail Alexa Bliss, but she didn't. And Alexa Bliss hit Roxanne Perez with Sister Abigail. I think Charlotte actually hit Raquel Rodriguez. Got her out of the way. Alexa Bliss hit Sister Abigail on Roxanne Perez. and got the win. What I find very interesting about this, now, no, none of us thought Liv Morgan was returning. A little too soon when you understand the extent of her surgery. But I didn't like her social media reaction. Like, she went on X and she was like, tisk, tisk, tisk. Yeah, she probably would have had to surrender the tag titles anyway because she's injured. But just, Roxanne lost your belt. And she was just tisk, tisk, tisk. I don't know. Something just felt like it was lacking in that match. And talking about lacking. Sami Zayn beats Karrion Kross. I don't feel the heat. I don't feel something is really missing here. And what I feared a couple of weeks ago may be happening. I don't have a problem if it happens, as long as it's done good. Remember, Karrion Kross has a book coming out. He's also involved with a movie. And a lot about Karrion Kross that you will learn in interviews is about mental health and overcoming adversity. And a lot of Karrion Kross is a really, really positive story. And many people, including my co-host, God rest his soul, Kev, brought it up repeatedly on our shows, that many believed, including him, that Kross will be a babyface in time when he starts doing his media tours. He's just too much of a positive story to want to boo this guy. And he's gotten himself over pretty good. What I feared for weeks and weeks and weeks up until now was, I don't want Sami Zayn, Kross, maybe it's you that has the problem. Maybe you got to change your ways. Maybe you. And then you see Kross maybe look in the mirror. Maybe it is me. Maybe I need to change. It's like a bad TBS movie. Or one of those, the Inspiration Network. I don't want to see that. If it's done well, fine. But that's where I feel this may be leading. The now Monday Night Raw, Kross admitted, you're the one that has the problem. You. Nobody likes you, this and that. And Kross is going to have that come to Jesus moment. And that's what this felt like yesterday. Sami and Kross were having a regular match. Crowd was into it. But there was a point where the referee is distracted. And Scarlett takes out the metal pipe and she gives it to Sami. No, she was not turning heel. She was trying to be the devil. Temptation. Take it. Like the female Sean O'Hare. Take it. It's okay. You could use it. Go ahead, Sami. You know you want to use it. You know you want to do it. And Sami picks it up and he's looking at it. Kind of like when Cody Rhodes is holding that turnbuckle rope and everything. And he's looking at it. The difference is Cody used it tonight and Sami threw it down. Crowd was kind of like booing that a little bit. But if Sami would have used it, he would have gotten disqualified and lost immediately. So Sami didn't use it. Next thing you know, haluva kick, exploder, done. Match over. What I found weird, go back and watch it, you see what I'm talking about? When Sami Zayn beat Karrion Kross, and Sami is standing over Karrion Kross, you go back and you watch it. Kross kept touching Sami, kept trying to grab him and touch him. And almost looked a little bit creepy. And Sami broke off of that. But you go back and you watch, you see what I'm talking about. And, I think obviously Kross is I got through to you. Or just denial. But again, something is lacking. I think a next chapter needs to happen. And obviously Kross needs to move away from Sami. I don't know if we'll see something this Monday on Raw, but this week or next week, they have to bring this to another direction. And I got a feeling that's where they're going with this. And I hope it's good. I really do. Funny thing is, a friend of mine, Julian, who was backstage at SummerSlam, he noticed, I think it was Abyss, talking quite a bit to Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. And I wonder if Abyss was the producer for that match. But, I want to see where this goes from here. Abyss has had some hits and misses, with his producing of matches, if we are being a little bit honest. He's done some really good ones. So I'm not trying to throw shade on him, but I want to see where this is going. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about it right now. Tiffany Stratton is undefeated in 2025. This is the match I think everybody got wrong, including me. Almost everybody thought it was time, put it on Jade. I think it was more of, not that Jade is in the right position to hold it. I think it was more of, it's kind of getting blamed for Tiffany Stratton. I kind of feel that that's what that was. But this match was pretty damn good. There was a couple of moments, I know people were like, ugh, they saw the Alabama Slam by Tiffany Stratton. There was one point where Tiffany Stratton tried the moonsault and Jade Cargill got the boots up and it looked like she really got whacked in the mouth. I wanted to see if her veneers broke again. Those motherfucking veneers. But Jade Cargill set up for a Jaded off the middle rope, but Tiffany Stratton countered into an avalanche, Hurricanrana. And then next thing you know, she follows with the prettiest moonsault ever, gets the win. This match was better than I think some people expected. Jade Cargill, a lot of people like to give heat on her, and I think it's a little bit unfair because of, how she was used in AEW. They made her kind of the Goldberg of the women's division in AEW, and she wasn't growing at the same time. So she came to WWE, and there was a lot of flaws. So they're trying to eliminate those flaws, and it's not easy to do. So Tiffany Stratton retains the championship. Who does she face next? That's the question. Nia Jax is now doing a little NXT work with Lash Legend. A lot of people feel Lash Legend will be the next to graduate to the main roster. Don't know if we'll see a Lash Legend Tiffany Stratton feud in the near future, but somebody obviously is going to step up for Tiffany Stratton. We talked about it in great detail earlier. Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre defeated Jelly Roll and Randy Orton. Just to add to what I said earlier, the story early on is that Logan Paul gave a cheap shot to Jelly Roll. And Randy Orton was going to start the match with Logan Paul, and Jelly Roll is begging Randy, please, I got this. This asshole, just let me start. Let me do it. Randy Orton's like, fine. And Jelly Roll's getting his ass kicked for the most part. Drew McIntyre comes in, does a little bit as well. There's a point where we think we're going to get a little bit of a hot tag, and then we don't get the hot tag, but Jelly Roll once again wants to stay in the match, wants to keep doing it. Randy Orton, you start to feel like, okay, could we possibly see a swerve? In fact, I was just thinking about it now. Could we see Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar? I wonder. Just throwing it out there, brainstorming based on what we saw tonight. But a lot of people were pissed that Peacock was censoring, fuck you, Logan. Fuck you, Logan. See, the thing people needed to realize is that you don't have two production companies filming, one for Peacock and one for Netflix. So what you saw on Peacock, you also saw on Netflix, if you have the access to Netflix. So that's why if it was censored on Peacock, it was also censored on Netflix, just to give everybody a little bit. But in the end, Jelly Roll would throw a couple of slams, couple of shoulder blocks. Punches were fine. You could feel that he actually put a lot of effort into this. He didn't look like a fish out of water. Randy Orton got the hot tag later on in the match. Randy Orton did less than I think people expected, but ultimately Jelly Roll would get his ass kicked. And there was one point where Jelly Roll is laid out outside in the announcer's table. Logan Paul climbs the top rope, holding a pair of Prime energy drinks, kind of like doing the spear salute like Austin used to do. And apparently he's got either a phone or I don't think it was a drone, because you saw the footage that came out today. It went with Logan. I don't know if he had what kind of camera device. I wasn't paying that close attention, but Logan Paul did a frog splash off the top rope onto Jelly Roll through the table. And people were like, holy fuck. I mean, Jelly Roll took it. You could see Logan Paul a little concerned for Jelly Roll if you look closely. Jelly Roll was fine, but they were selling it that he was out. This went on for quite a while. And there was one point where Jelly Roll is starting to get to the rampway. And, he's selling pain, but he looks like he's crying that he let everybody down. And he's going slow and he collapses a little. And I'm sure the people that were around him would tell him, okay, drop this and that. So finally, the crowd was into him. They were even doing Jelly Roll, Jelly Roll, Jelly Roll. I'm not a fan of his work. I don't care about his backdrop. I have too many people that I grew up in my neighborhood that had war stories, but he sold me. He sold me. When he turned around and saw Randy being double teamed and he's like, I can't have that. And he ran in the ring like nothing ever happened. I could let it go because obviously he's not a wrestler, but in the end, he got his ass kicked. Drew McIntyre with a Claymore. Randy Orton would give Drew McIntyre an RKO, so that took care of Randy Orton and Drew for a moment. But then Logan Paul hit Randy Orton in the ring post. There was an exposed turnbuckle, so Randy is out and hits the frog splash onto Jelly Roll, gets the win. And the crowd was fine with it. And I'm glad, because a lot of us feel too many times WWE wants to give the celebrity like that moment, almost like where they prevail. And again, I guarantee you're going to hear a news story come out. My sources tell me that Jelly Roll insisted that, he shouldn't win this match, that he's not the wrestler and, he should not win, and he's fine with it, totally cool with it. I guarantee you that'll come out. Then for night one, we had the main event. It went 30 minutes. It started out slow. But if you're going to go 30 minutes, and this is not CM Punk from 10 years ago, you have to pace yourself. You have to tell a story. And that's what this was. Gunther with a deliberate beatdown of CM Punk. Gunther bragging, posing. Is this the best in the world? Ladies and gentlemen, the best in the world. Too cocky. But just every time CM Punk would get a little flurry, big chop. And those chops were loud. CM Punk would wail Gunther with some chops of his own, even broke a little bit of blood vessels in the chest area. But CM Punk, because of being a veteran, because of his age, they would sell tired, years into your career. Gunther still very young, very superior, the world champion. And he was taunting CM Punk. Now, there was one point, because, again, they needed to have that turning point in this match. And I'll tell you something else, and I think a lot of people will agree with me. This match was very even. From probably the second or the last 2/3 of the match, it was very, very even. Gunther early on, getting the upper hand, a little bit too bragging. But CM Punk ultimately would get a lot of offense in, hitting all of his moves, Gunther kicking out, Gunther hitting his moves. Got very, very even at one point. But the turning point, as we said earlier, was when Gunther stood on that commentator's table. He came over and he posed with the championship to the camera. He never does that. He stood on the commentator's table. CM Punk threw his legs from under him. He was supposed to land nose first. He went under the table. The referee is checking on CM Punk to take the attention off of Gunther when Gunther reemerges, face completely covered in blood. And it looked like he got cut on his head. But then when he goes in the ring, he starts grabbing his nose. And it was abrupt. And it wasn't just, oh my God, I'm bleeding. It was, he was selling his nose. And then you realize, okay, something's up with the nose. Didn't know anything about the nose surgery. But again, you see CM Punk hit to go to sleep. And Gunther's just like dangling. And to, again, like I said earlier, to me, I think Gunther realized it didn't go anywhere near his nose, his fit, that area. So he did a second one. He went down. CM Punk gets the pin. CM Punk is your new World Heavyweight Champion. And I love the match. It's not, I don't think it should be in the top 20 of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time, even though I have a feeling it will, especially because of the cash-in. But as soon as CM Punk won, go back and watch it. Pay attention to the front row. They're all turning their heads. Somebody going to come out. Seth Rollins going to come out. Then all of a sudden, as CM Punk is crying, embracing that championship, looking at it almost in disbelief. If you look in your corner, I noticed this. If you look right after CM Punk won and he's caressing that belt, hugging it and holding it tight, look in the corner of the screen. Some reason Michael Cole gets up and he's standing up on his side. And Wade Barrett couldn't really tell what he was doing. But it was just a little strange. Like, why did Michael Cole just abruptly get up like that? See, Seth Rollins' music didn't hit yet. And I found that a little interesting. And crowd is looking, and all of a sudden, Seth Rollins' music hits. And he comes out, and he's walking on crutches. Paul Heyman is there with the briefcase. And Seth Rollins, you hear some audio like, enjoy it while you can. And we're thinking, okay, when he comes back, he's coming after Punk. Seth Rollins turns around, starts walking on the crutches to the back and stops. And it was perfect. He stops, crowd starts to erupt. They can sense what's about to happen. He drops the crutches, turns around, takes the jacket off, starts brisk walking to the ring. Wails CM Punk with the briefcase a couple of times, gives it to the referee, cashes in, and hits the curb stomp. 12 seconds. That's how long CM Punk that match took. And that's your new World Heavyweight Champion. So Seth Rollins now is your world champion. Who does he feud with first? Don't know if they're going to go the rematch route. I certainly do not want to see Punk, Rollins, and Roman again, which could very well happen. But I think we may get Roman and Rollins. Don't think we'll get Sami Zayn and Rollins this soon. Don't think it's necessary. Jey Uso and Rollins is a possibility, but Jey Uso ain't winning that, so why would you want that? So we'll see what happens. Now, Gunther will be out for some time. If the surgery is what I believe it is, he might be out for a month. Don't think he'll have to be out all that long. Doesn't take that long to recover, but if there's something where he had injured his nose in the past and they need to reset it, then he may be out for 4 to 6 weeks. But I don't see him being out for an extended period of time. But we'll see what happens. When Gunther returns, the landscape of Raw could be much different a month from now. Won't be that much different, but, let's see where Gunther goes from here. I don't think you turn him babyface. I absolutely do not want to see that. But right now, we got Monday Night Raw in less than 24 hours, so we should have some questions answered. So, for night 2, just to get into some quick results, Naomi retains the Women's Championship over Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. That was a match that everybody in my predictions contest all picked Naomi to win. And she won exactly how we thought she would win. She would get that quick, abrupt, sneaky victory. I think for a lot of people, Io Sky was the star of this match. What I think was really freaking cool about this is her father, Naomi's father. His name is Derek Mack, and he has a band in Florida called the Derek Mack Band. And if you go check out his Facebook page, holy shit, does this guy have bookings? This guy works, I'm not kidding, I would say 20 to 25 events a month. He does bars, restaurants, parties. It's not anything like, major concerts, but in Florida, Derek Mack Band is very, very popular. And I was checking out a little bit of his Facebook earlier. I'm pretty impressed. He did the guitar intro for Naomi tonight. I thought that was really freaking cool for Naomi to have her own father performing for her. And you know what I noticed about tonight compared to Saturday night? Almost every match tonight got a "This is awesome" chant. I think Gunther and CM Punk got some polite "This is awesome" chants about 20 minutes in. Tonight, almost every match had multiple times at some times "This is awesome" chants. This match was excellent. Naomi getting a 2-on-1 beatdown early on. I don't know if I liked Rhea Ripley really cheerleading Io Sky, because at the end of the day, it's every woman for herself, but ultimately Io Sky and Rhea Ripley would go at it a little bit too. In fact, here's another one. I don't know if you all saw the footage yet, but after the match was over, Rhea Ripley carried Io Sky to the back because she was selling being knocked out. Again, I get it. They're both baby faces, but I feel in a 3-way match where it's every woman for themselves, I thought Rhea Ripley's cheerleading was a little bit too much tonight. But at the end of the day, it's the best woman wins. You got to put your friendship aside. You want to put that friendship back after the match is over, that's fine. But my favorite part of the match, which I'm sure most people didn't even notice, this is what I love about what Naomi does. You know when Io Sky runs towards the corner and she does the double knee while someone's laid out in the corner? If you pay close attention, usually whoever is laid out in the corner is just laying there, and then they get hit with the double knee, and then they're just knocked out. Naomi is laid out in the corner, and this happened twice. And as Io Sky's running towards her, Naomi's fucking freaking out and screaming like, no, no, no. And that's something that is so not done in wrestling these days. How many people you see, they're just laying there waiting to get hit with a move. No facial reactions, no nothing, not even bracing themselves. And I get it, some people sell like they're unconscious, but Naomi was freaking out right before it happened, and I love that. Naomi at one point hit a fucking knee to Io Sky's mouth that even my mouth hurt. But in the end, Rhea Ripley hits a move on Io Sky, knocks her out. And maybe that's why she brought it to the back. But she knocked out Io Sky, and then Naomi, literally half a second later, rolls up Rhea Ripley. And she put her foot. I think she put her foot on the ropes for leverage. And as Michael Cole said, it didn't matter. It's a three-way. There's no disqualification. So Naomi did that for leverage, but she could because it's a three-way match. There's no disqualification. So Naomi retains the belt. It was a great match to open up with. And to me, the right person won. And just so you know, Stephanie Vaquer has already put out a video earlier this evening telling Naomi, keep the belt warm. It's going to be Stephanie Vaquer's in Paris. So they are already setting up the feud with Naomi and Stephanie Vaquer, just so you all know. The Wyatt Six retained the SmackDown tag titles over the Motor City Machine Guns. I'll get to them in a second. DIY, Andrade and Rey Fenix, Fraxium, and the Street Profits. I did get a kick out of Wade Barrett saying that 2025 has been the Street Profits year. And then someone immediately wrote that the Street Profits haven't been on a premium live event in a year and a half. A little less than a year and a half. Is it just me? Is the Motor City Machine Guns theme music supposed to sound like a 90s video game? Anybody remember like the video games like Outrun and stuff like that? I was listening. I mean, I've heard their intro before, but I was listening closely tonight. And you hear, raise your fist, raise your fist. But the way it sounded like a 1990s racing video game. Just like the music that you would hear in the background and you hear a little bit of commentary along the way. That's how I felt tonight. This match was tremendous. I mean, there was so many spots. I wrote down a couple of things that I noticed. There was some ECW chants tonight. There was one point where the Street Profits did a back body drop to Joe Gacy that was supposed to go on a ladder, but Joe Gacy completely missed the ladder. And Joe Gacy goes to the outside, and you could feel the crowd like disappointed. And then I guess like a light bulb went off in Montez Ford's head. He's like, no, we can't have it. So he runs out of the ring, grabs Joe Gacy, brings him back in the ring, and they do the move again. And this time they back body drop him over the ladder, and the crowd popped to it. But there was another point where there was no ladder in the middle of the ring, and Rey Fenix somehow steps onto Andrade's shoulders and was in inches of grabbing the titles. It was such a creative move. Like you said, wow, why didn't people think about that sooner? And he literally almost, that's how high he got. And people popped for that too. What I loved about it also is, if people were paying attention, they kind of did a callback to Edge, Christian, Hardy's, Dudley's. There was one point where Tommaso Ciampa was hanging from the top, holding on to the belts, that metal rail that holds the belts, and he's dangling from it. And you see, I think it was Nathan Frazier, is climbing a ladder, and he's positioned himself, and he's to the left of Tommaso Ciampa. If you watch it on TV, it's your right, and you thought it was the callback of the spear. Edge, a spear, the Hardys, and when Nathan Frazier went for the spear, Tommaso Ciampa lifts his body upside down, and no water in the pool. He just dives, goes for the spear, there's nobody home. And obviously it took some amazing strength, but, very innovative, as a way to counter something that wasn't countered 20 years ago. But other than the spot that Candice LeRae took earlier, there was a bunch of table spots, with the exception of Tommaso Ciampa, much to his credit. Rey Fenix at one point hit a frog splash off the top rope onto Nathan Frazier, who was laying on a table outside the ring. Immediately after, Angelo Dawkins climbs the top rope, And Axiom grabs Angelo Dawkins and proceeds to hit a Spanish fly to the outside onto a table that Ciampa was laid out on, but Ciampa escaped. So Ciampa did not get laid out. And you're getting "This is awesome" chants. Candice LeRae takes the spot off the ladder. Nathan Frazier tries to spear Ciampa, like Edge, as we said. And then Uncle Howdy gets involved in the match. He pushes DIY off of 2 ladders outside the ring onto 2 sets of tables that were piled up on top of each other, that I believe the Street Profits originally set up. Andrade then proceeds to hit a sunset flip powerbomb off the ladder, through another ladder to Uncle Howdy. Even Uncle Howdy took a pretty big bump tonight. And Bo Dallas, for some reason, they don't ever have him wrestle that much. But even T took a crazy bump tonight. But to me, other than Candice LeRae, there was another point where Dexter Lumis, Montez Ford was laid out on a table outside the ring. Dexter Lumis climbs the top rope, and the way they had the camera position, it looked like Dexter Lumis was a little bit, off. He dives over and he kind of overstepped Montez Ford and kind of landed ass first onto Montez Ford, and that shit looked painful. Crowd was going nuts. I mean, sometimes you have a match where there's like 1 or 2 people that seem like, they don't do as much as everyone else. Everybody fucking took a beating tonight. To me, the one who probably took the most abuse, other than Candice LeRae, is Joe Gacy. You look closely, Joe Gacy took a beating during that match, but ultimately it was Joe Gacy who would climb the ladder and grab the titles, and Dexter Lumis was making sure that nobody would get to Gacy, and they retain the belts. And then you have the Wyatts the Wyatt 6 posing in the ring, and you hear Uncle Howdy saying, "Bray for you, my life for you." They're heels, but the crowd was enjoying it. Eric Rowan even got involved. Eric Rowan went through a table, got a whole bunch of chair shots by the Street Profits. This was a tremendous match. For some people, this might be their favorite match of the night, next to Cody and Cena. You really did not have a bad match on the night, other than Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, which we already covered. That just fell completely flat. We talked about it earlier. There's no reason for me to bring it up again. This match really, really was lacking. I hated that the MFTs, which I like to call Mid Forever Tonga, it's not hitting. This looks like a faction that should be in NXT. I'm just not feeling it. Solo Sikoa is doing a fine job, but this is just not hitting. And Fatu, unfortunately, the numbers game overpowered him tonight. But that spot with Jimmy Uso, man, that guy was laid out. And the minute Solo wins, suddenly Jimmy Uso is moving around like everything was fine. It just really, really fell flat. As I said earlier, Becky Lynch retains the Women's Intercontinental Championship over Lyra Valkyria. Lyra cannot challenge Becky for the IC title ever again, which, no big deal. We got into the match in great detail earlier. Now the question is, what happens with Lyra Valkyria next? If Becky Lynch is going to feud with Bayley, which I kind of feel that's where they're going with, where does this leave Lyra? Is someone randomly going to come out there and just laugh, poke fun, and then you get your Acme Insta feud? I don't think you're going to get Lyra versus Bayley, even though we thought for a minute Bayley was going to turn heel tonight when Becky, gave Bayley, the crowbar. And she's like, hit her. Look at what she took away from you. Hit her, hit her, hit her. and Bayley just can't. Just when you thought Bayley might turn heel, no, she ends up wailing on Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, one shot too many. Becky moves out of the way, and Bayley just wails Lara Valkyria by accident. And Becky with the manhandle slam, there's your win. So Becky retains. Lyra, I don't think she could get any higher right now. I get it. We have the women's championships too. Maybe Lyra feuds with Naomi next. I mean, Paris is not tomorrow. Maybe we get Lyra and Naomi having a feud next. That could possibly be. Then you got to start figuring out, what do you do with Rhea Ripley? Then you start figuring out, what do you do with Io Sky? You do not want them feuding with the Judgment Day again. No, no, no. You have Asuka and Kairi Sane, who's a tag team. What do you do with them? WWE's got some problems with the women's division on Raw. They got some big problems. I don't see Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss feuding with the Kabuki Warriors. Roxanne and Raquel Rodriguez are no longer champs. So, yeah, they can lose some matches. Now, you don't have to worry because they're not champions anymore. So, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with some of these women. But my biggest concern is, what do you do with Rhea Ripley? What do you do? Who does she feud with next? I mean, there's plenty of women on Raw, but when you actually start thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch? I'm not so sure about that. But I think Lyra should have gotten this victory tonight. I think she's put herself in a position where she could have a nice run again. But as I just said, I said it earlier, say it again now, Lyra could go for the women's championship. Problem is, you're not taking the belt off of Naomi right now. Naomi tonight was the one match that I know everybody in my predictions contests all chose Naomi. There was not one person that picked anybody else but Naomi. People agree you're not taking the belt off of Naomi anytime soon. Another match that I enjoyed, great callbacks to Eddie Guerrero. Dominic Mysterio retains the Intercontinental Championship over AJ Styles. AJ Styles wearing tights very reminiscent to Eddie Guerrero's tights from 2005 SummerSlam, when it was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio with Dominic for custody of Dominic. That is true. The tights were a tribute to Eddie Guerrero. In fact, AJ Styles came out driving a 1953 Chevrolet Lowrider and was doing a whole Eddie thing. And even though they're feuding, Dominic Mysterio loved every minute of it. AJ with a lot of callbacks to Eddie tonight. Dominic, of course, as well. I think Dominic's dedicated almost his entire career to Eddie Guerrero. You had dueling chants tonight. AJ Styles, Dirty Dom. AJ Styles, Dirty Dom. One point in the match, Dominic unties the turnbuckle. And while the referee goes outside to grab the turnbuckle and ties it back on, Dominic hits the ring with a chair. And this was great because I don't know how they didn't think about this back then. With the referee turned, Dominic looks at AJ Styles, throws the chair down by AJ, actually throws the chair down, then he puts it by AJ, and then Dominic lays down, like what Eddie Guerrero used to do, lie, cheat, and steal. So AJ Styles is like, oh yeah, watch this, SA. AJ Styles grabs the chair and puts it around his neck, which honestly I thought was stupid. I thought it was stupid, but brilliant, but stupid. And I'll tell you why it was stupid. And you'll all agree with me. There'll be not one person who'll disagree with me. He puts the chair around his neck, and he lays down. And the referee turns around. Now, Dominic is looking concerned. Holy shit, the referee's going to think I knocked him out with a chair. If I'm Dominic Mysterio, I get up and tell the referee, yeah, I did that. Because then I get disqualified, and the belt is still mine. AJ Styles, although beautiful callback, very, very stupid because Dominic could have been disqualified. He wouldn't have gotten the title. See, sometimes you got to go one step ahead, but the callbacks were great. Another callback. Dominic, in the latter part of the match, unzips his boot. And the reason why he did that was because AJ Styles tried a calf crusher earlier in the match. So Dominic, in fear of AJ doing it again, unzips his boot. So as AJ is doing a calf crusher again, the boot falls off. And AJ is left with the boot. He had the same look on his face when Roddy Piper ripped the leg off of Zach Allen. Like he's looking at it like, what do I have in my hands? And then AJ realizes the boot came off. So AJ throws the boot down. And with the referee distracted, you end up how brilliant it was for Dominic. Pulls an Eddie. Grabs the boot. Wails AJ Styles in the head with it. Hits the splash. 1, 2, 3. Dominic intentionally undid his boot. So AJ Styles would pull it off and then he could use it as a weapon later on. Definitely a fun match. And you know what's so great about it? If we're being honest for a minute, we're always honest, but think about this. You didn't use any weapons. You didn't use any tables, chairs, Singapore canes, screwdrivers. You didn't have anybody bleeding. You didn't have any run-ins, swerves. You didn't have Judgment Day out there. You just had pretty much a traditional wrestling match with a few Eddie Guerrero callbacks, and everybody loved it. If you truly put stars, that match would get 3.5 stars. What do people say? Nothing big about it. It was great psychology, a lot of tributes to Eddie, but not much there. But yeah, everybody enjoyed it. Everybody enjoyed it. That goes to show you, when you have the right people telling the right story, you don't have to put yourself out there like that. And they had a great match. It was a fun match. I don't know if I would have made it to the next to last match of the night, but it was still a fun match. And then obviously we got the main event. Cody Rhodes winning the undisputed WWE Championship against John Cena. I love the intro where they did the callback to Dusty Rhodes. I wrote it down. When you walk behind and you're not a leader, the view never changes. And, you know, it was kind of powerful. Well, it was powerful when you hear Dusty Rhodes' voice and you hear 10 years ago, you know, I couldn't witness World Heavyweight Champion. And then you realize Dusty Rhodes died in 2015. So, it was just a really, really good entrance. Very powerful. You know, nothing, other than that. John Cena, traditional intro as well. Early on, it was pretty even, but it quickly went more in Cena's way because of the nostalgia factor. And Cena was working his ass off. There was one point early on where John Cena brought ring steps in the ring. And AJ, I still got AJ on my mind. Cody Rhodes body slams CM. Holy shit. It's getting late over here. Wake up. John Cena brings ring steps in the ring early on in the match, and Cody Rhodes slams John Cena onto the steps, but did it so politely. And the crowd started shitting on Cody Rhodes. I mean, sure, Cody Rhodes was just looking out for John Cena, but it looked pretty weak. And then John Cena is just working his ass off. Now, the funny thing about it is, we all know what happened on Friday. That John Cena suddenly turned babyface again. And all weekend I'm saying to myself, is this John Cena psychology? Where he wants Cody to think that he's back to what he was before? And then during the match, John Cena's going to show once again his colors? Or is this just how WWE decided to do it? It was almost like, forget about it. Right? I mean, I'm fine with this. John Cena, the only thing that kind of stinks is nobody came out to turn on Cena. After all of these months, John Cena finally acknowledges Travis Scott and The Rock on Friday without mentioning their names. And no one came out there to turn on John Cena. No power call, no nod, no nothing. Which is interesting because, I saw some places reporting that cameras for WWE Unreal did not document any of Cena's turn on SmackDown. And I don't trust that at all. Because WWE's cameras are rolling all the time. There's nothing stopping WWE for giving that footage to Unreal, and they could add it into a part of season 2. But it is kind of fascinating after all of these months. John Cena just wakes up one day. Hey, you know what? People that were supposed to have my back disappointed me, and I'm back to where I was. Really? Like, that's it? It's almost like, with Grayson Waller last Monday on Raw. After a year and a half of teasing a split between the two, Grayson Waller just matter of fact, we're not together anymore. Austin Theory's just dead weight. I'm like, that's it? That's how you split? But this match was tremendous. Maybe a little bit too much in-ring wrestling for the beginning because it is a street fight. And yes, they used outside weapons. They used chairs. They used tables. Cena used multiple tables in this match. Brought one in, put it in the corner, ended up eating it. Putting another table in the ring later on. Ate a bulldog from Cody Rhodes, the Cody Cutter, off the middle rope. So there were numerous tables, but there was a lot of in-ring work, and it was a street fight. You had dueling chairs at one point. Cena with the 5 moves of doom, bringing that back. Cody Rhodes pulling a pile driver out of nowhere. We don't see pile drivers. Rare. It's rare to see a pile driver. Cena even hit a Canadian destroyer outside to the floor, and it was so funny because after he hit it, he looked shocked. He's like, did I just do that? And everybody was popping. Ultimately, they would crawl into the crowd a little bit. Cena got suplexed onto guardrail that Cody had set up on the side where the fans were. There was a cool moment where Cena and Cody, we thought would get a brawl to the back. And we thought the camera was going to follow them. But soon as they walked under the rampway, the cameras on the bottom went dark, and then they focused just on the rampway, and then you realize the elevator where Cody came up for his SummerSlam intro, they used that during the match. They are under the rampway, lights go off, just centered on the top of the rampway. You see a little bit of smoke. And here comes the elevator coming up from the ground. And as the elevator's coming up, John Cena has Cody Rhodes on his shoulders. And Cena's got this smug smirk on his face. Crowd is popping. Definitely going to become an animated file for forever. He ends up bringing him back to the ring. They finally get back in the ring. And then here's where everybody becomes Superman. Cody Rhodes hits Crossroads, gets a 2. He attempts a suplex off the middle rope, But John Cena headbutts Cody off, hits a leg drop, almost like a famouser off the middle rope for a 2. Cody plants a DDT onto John Cena, sets up a table in the corner, and you get Cody hitting 3 crossroads. Now, remember earlier I said that Cody unscrewed the bottom turnbuckle in the rope and was using it as a weapon? Sami Zayn threw it down. Cody Rhodes looked at it and was kind of battling with himself. Should I do it? Should I not do it? He was kind of, just had some sympathy on John Cena, was looking at the crowd, but then he'd get this angered look on his face. He's turning heel. He's turning heel. Just like those goofs from a week ago. That's the moment where Cody just turned heel. God bless those passionate wrestling fans. But when they try to convince us that they know that they're right and then they end up being wrong, that's why we laugh. If you enjoy yourself and you think something's going to happen, there's nothing wrong with using the word think. But when you try to tell me that something just happened and I know it didn't, that's when you look like a goof. So Cody unscrews the bottom. He grabs the rope, the what is that metal? The metal trope. Hits Cena the first time, crowd boos. Cena's on his knees, a little unconscious. Cody is really battling his heart. Do I do it again? No, I'm not going to do it. Yes, I am going to do it again. Hits John Cena a second time. Cody for the third time. He's battling himself. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Yeah, I'll do it. But this time, Cena catches him. He grabs Cody, starts choking Cody with the rope. And then I think John Cena realized, oh, wait, this is WWE 2025. Even TKO, we can't do that. So he kind of had the rope around Cody's forehead. So Cody quickly reverses the choke and then hits 3 crossroads in a row. Now, in any other match, 3 crossroads, you're done. John Cena kicks out at 2. And Cody Rhodes has got this look like, what the fuck? Cody picks up the belt, goes for a belt shot, but Cena hits a pair of AAs. John Cena picks up the belt and reminds himself that he's not going to do that anymore, and he throws the belt aside. He picks up Cody and goes to the middle rope, and he's going to do the 3rd AA off the middle rope and hits it for a 2. Now the crowd is, again, for like the second or third time, with "This is awesome" chants. Cena grabs another table, sets it up in the ring. Cena tries to do one last AA through the table, but Cody stops him, grabs John Cena and hits a Cody cutter off the rope through the table. John Cena goes head first, Cody cutter through the table. So then Cody looks at Cena, and it was almost like you remember Shawn Michaels with Ric Flair WrestleMania, "I'm sorry, I love you." Or it might have been, "I love you, I'm sorry." Cody Rhodes looks at John Cena, who's not facing Cody. He's looking the other way, and Cody Rhodes salutes John Cena. Not sarcastic, though. Salutes him, hits the crossroads, gets the win. Nobody came out. Nobody interfered. Nobody turned. It was a beautiful moment. John Cena showing the love for Cody, almost feeling like passing the torch, so to speak, even though Cody probably doesn't need a torch passed to him. John Cena probably should have been a little bit more disappointed, a little bit too much smiling if you go back and watch it. But crowd loved it. Crowd was back supporting Cody once again. And again, that hug, that one moment where Cody went to hug Cena, and it was the same camera angle like Elimination Chamber, and I'm like, holy shit. Cody's going to start frowning, and people are going to lose their shit. And it didn't happen. Cody leaves the ring. John Cena is standing in the ring, and at one point, Cody stops, and I thought, When John Cena, they put the camera back on him and they're going to salute him, is Cody going to run back in the ring and wail him? Didn't happen. Cody just walks off. John Cena acknowledging the crowd, final SummerSlam, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits. And Brock comes out. Crowd is chanting, holy shit. You know, again, unfortunately, there's some wrestling media out there that will be losing their shit because Brock Lesnar almost had sex with Janelle Grant, almost cheated on his wife, almost flew to a hotel, and that's bad enough. We've seen enough. So they're going to be bitter bitches about all of this. Brock hits the ring, goes to charge Cena. Cena tries to counter Brock, but Brock ultimately hits the AA. Only hits one. Walks off. Don't know where this is going. Is this The Rock bringing Brock back as punishment for John Cena for doing what he did on Friday? Could that be it? I don't know. If Brock Lesnar was brought out there to screw John Cena, he could have done it during the match, but didn't. Waited until after the match was over. So I don't know where this is going, but again, I feel like somebody is going to, I think, get involved with John Cena in defense of John Cena, and that may segue into a match. Maybe it ends up being a tag match, but I don't know if I want to see Cena and Brock Lesnar again. I don't know, but this match was excellent. And as I said earlier, the hardest, by far the hardest John Cena has worked in years. This match, by far, the hardest he's worked. Joseph Heath. Crazy Uncle Dave Meltzer just proves a blind squirrel could find a nut every once in a while. Listen, I thought I was the better man the last 2 weeks to give him some credit that he could be right about Seth Rollins, but I will never get past that they waited until 3 days after the injury to say, I was told a week earlier. I don't buy that. I don't buy it. Because if they were told a week earlier, especially post-wrestling, if post-wrestling is told a week earlier, Seth Rollins may be doing an injury angle soon, those motherfuckers would have written it and reposted it again and probably used burner accounts praising how post-wrestling broke the story. They both waited until 3 days after the injury to suddenly say, oh yeah, I knew this a week ago. I don't buy that. That's why I don't give them full credit. I don't buy it. Why did they hold it? Even if they didn't know for sure, how many stories have people put out there like, we really don't know for sure? I mean, go check out the last 5 minutes of the history show I put up yesterday. Just listen to Eric Bischoff. You know, he goes on this rant about Mercedes Moné, and I'm not the biggest Mercedes Moné fan, but in the middle of it, he's like, well, we really, really don't know for sure if she has creative control. Then why are you saying it? Like, everybody and their mother puts their shit out there. They don't wait for someone else to take the credit. Neither one did. So I don't buy it completely. But again, that interview on the Rich Eisen show, that did it for me. And I appreciate everybody out there who did acknowledge and bring up that I was the first one to question it. But I wasn't doing it to be the first one. It was just that caught my eye immediately. I'm like, if this guy got injured as much as he did 3 days earlier, why is he in a studio for a podcast show? I mean, if he was home on simulcast, then I'd be fine with it. But you don't even know what's up with your knee and you're traveling to a podcast? I didn't buy it. Something didn't pass the smell test for me. Wasn't sure. I'm not going to sit here and say, I did not tonight say, told you guys. No, I really wasn't sure. But that didn't pass the smell test for me. So, Devin Magazine says, Heyman on a pole, fatal four-way. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and Seth Rollins. SR could also be Senor. Could you imagine? Paul Heyman would be on a forklift, like Judy Bagwell. I don't think CM Punk wants anything to do with Paul Heyman right now. I think before Roman Reigns officially retires, he will reunite with Paul Heyman. I think that absolutely will happen. Brock Lesnar, I kind of like that he's on SmackDown. That keeps him away from Paul Heyman. And, Seth Rollins, we'll see what happens on Raw, but, I like Paul Heyman having new blood, so to speak. Even though Rollins has been there for a very long time now. But, being a Paul Heyman guy for Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. The Vision name, The Vision, it's okay. I've heard worse. I really can't complain about that all that much. The Vision. Actually, it does make more sense. Seth Rollins is a visionary. Paul Heyman sees his vision. It's almost like perfect. Or you think it's just like when I said last week, couldn't believe no one ever came up with Finspiration. When Finn Balor offers the words of inspiration to the Judgment Day, that's Finspiration. What Finspiration are we going to get on Monday night when Roxanne and Raquel are sulking in the back? Finn Balor is going to give us some Finspiration. All right. Lawrence, thank you for the 10 spot, Lawrence. Love the show tonight. He marked out for Brock's return. A lot better than yesterday's. Listen, when I wrote on, I think some people read what I said but didn't listen. I said that, for weeks I thought that SummerSlam would be better for me, more enjoyable than WrestleMania 41. And what I wrote earlier today was so far, so good. That doesn't mean that night one was better than night one for WrestleMania 41. What I said earlier was so far, so good. Give me a good night two, and I will sit here and tell you I enjoyed SummerSlam more than I enjoyed WrestleMania 41. And I will tell you right now, I enjoyed SummerSlam 2025 more than I enjoyed WrestleMania 41. Doesn't mean WrestleMania was bad, but I enjoyed SummerSlam more. It was more manageable. It was 3.5 hours. There were less matches. There was more time given. Some matches fell flat. As I said, Zayn Kross fell flat to me. Solo, Jacob Fatu fell flat to me. Becky and Lyra, you know what I'll say about Becky and Lyra? And I think you'll all agree with me on this. Becky and Lyra have had some great matches this year. Becky and Lyra, to me, felt like two women who knew they were going to be following TLC, and they were like, what do we do to top that? And they thought, let's use zip ties. Of course, they run it across the producers, but it felt like two women, instead of just, relying more on what already worked, they're like, let's just go over the top. And Lyra, for good 10 minutes, zip-tied, wrapping her arms around Becky, doing moonsault without her hands available. And that's fine for 10 minutes until she crawls under the ring and literally comes back and she's like, look, everybody, they're gone. It looked like a bad cartoon. But yes, I agree. Night two was better than night one. Theme parks and things with Johnny. Thank you for the 20 spot, my friend. TT, I wanted to say to you, I talked about the Wyatt 6 Horror Nights. No wrestling outlet said anything. Maybe us theme park enthusiasts had the scoop before they did, and Universal did. He's going opening night to Universal Hollywood. Yeah, I thought it was a big deal. Again, I'm not about being the first to post anything, but I do research. And unfortunately, when some websites don't post something, those secondary and tertiary bullshit sites, they don't post either. They will just copy whatever another website puts up. So because those websites didn't bother to look into the Wyatt thing, they didn't post it. So everybody else ignored it. So I appreciate you pointing that out. It looks fun. I mean, I'm sure you know who Adam the Woo is and others that do, these podcasts, the blogging from the studios. You're going opening night, so you already experienced it. Let me know how it is. But there's obviously going to be a lot of fan footage. It's a haunted house. But I will tell you this, and you guys are hearing it maybe firsthand because I got this from someone in Florida. I will tell you this much, and I promise you no other wrestling website has brought this up. When you see the footage of the Wyatt Six and the haunted house of Universal, it is going to be nothing like what you see on TV. And what I mean by that is this is going to be gory. There is going to be a lot of blood. Let me put it this way. If you thought Chad Gable laying there like he got a bullet in the head looked bad and some of the people were incapacitated backstage when the Wyatt Six debuted, this haunted house is like R-rated. This is a lot gorier than I think people think. Let me put it this way. If any young wrestling fans out there that are obsessed with Alexa Bliss being part in the Wyatt Six and all this other stuff and loving Nikki Cross, if they think that they're going to go to this Wyatt Six Universal thing and be like, oh my God, I'm going to meet Huskus the Pig. Let me tell you something. When there's 30 Huskus the Pigs and they're eating body parts, there's going to be some people peeing in their pants walking through this haunted house. This is going to be a lot gorier than I think some people think. So have a good time, man. Have a really good time. You're going to enjoy it. I hear that it's going to be really well done. And I hope this could be an annual thing. I hope that it can be. Yes, WWE probably owns some trademark to the Wyatt Six. Hopefully, even if some end up getting released within the next year, I don't know. But let's see how it goes. But again, be prepared for anybody that's thinking about going to this. It's a lot more violent than you realize. The idea is to scare the shit out of you. The idea is like, oh, that's cool. Let me take a selfie with fucking Rambling Rabbit. You're going to want to run out of that fucking... Put it this way. You'll probably hear Bray Wyatt's voice go, run. You're going to run and pee your pants on the way out. Dean Park says he's going to put a point of view up. I definitely would love to see it. Definitely would love to see it. It's going to be good. I mean, I've seen a lot of the horror themes at Universal. Disney doesn't do it like that. Universal goes balls out for Halloween. I've seen the ones with the Halloween theme and some of the others. There is some scary shit, man. There is some things I watch and I'm like, I'll have a fucking nightmare for a year if I went to something like that. So have a blast, man. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what do I give both nights? What do I give it overall? What's my favorite match and what's my least favorite match? All right. Let's go to night one first. My favorite match for night one, I got to go with Gunther and CM Punk because it was an awesome story. It did not feel that they were giving a bone to CM Punk and having Gunther lose because he's got to go for surgery. This was hard fought for 30 minutes. CM Punk earned the victory. That's why I consider it my favorite match of the night. Because Gunther lost nothing in that. Gunther made some psychological mistakes and paid the price. But that, for me, is my favorite match of the night. The tag team match with Logan and Jelly Rollins, it's a second for me, but, the work and the story that Gunther and CM Punk told, especially CM Punk being a veteran now and running out of opportunities, that's the story it told. My least favorite match was Kross and Sami Zayn. I didn't feel anger. I felt psychology. I felt Kross taunting Sami. I felt Sami a little bit torn, but I didn't feel anger. And after all of this, I should have felt anger. Let's see where the story goes from here. Again, if we see that moment where Kross is looking in the mirror and having doubt about himself, oh my God. Social media will explode. Kross, don't feel that way. You can do it. Blah, 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 blah. And I hope it's good. I'm not crapping on it. I absolutely am a huge supporter of Kross for obvious reasons. He supported us well before he even got into wrestling. That doesn't give me a reason to support him back. But, there's a mutual support. And one thing I know that he absolutely loved about Kevin, myself, is that if we had a problem, we didn't just hide it because he's our friend and we want to say nice things and make him feel good. He wants to be told if something is shitty. I don't think this is shitty, but to me, it felt like a 20-minute drive that took 2 hours with no traffic. If you understand what I mean. It's not even taking a scenic route. Something that should have taken me 20 minutes took me 3 hours. And you get to the destination, you're like, why did this take me 3 hours? That's how I feel right now. Let's see where it goes from here. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give night 1. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think that's fair. I would say it's above average, but I wouldn't put it like an 8 or a 9. I would say 6.5 out of 10 is fair. On night 2, my favorite match, obviously, John Cena and Cody Rhodes. Although TLC was just a fucking train wreck. If you like spots and great fucking spots and spots like, if you hear tomorrow that there was no injuries, even Candice LeRae, you'd be like, wow, I can't believe there's no injuries. That match was insane. That match is a match that you watch when you're tripping. Or you're just like, dude, you see what he did, bro? Dude. Like, it's one of those matches. Like, you just, put it this way, you can't watch the TLC match at like 2 o'clock in the morning and you're half asleep. You're just trying to catch up and watch what you missed earlier. Like, you watch that, you're going to be like, dude. Like, it's one of those matches. And I don't know what it's like to trip. The last time I tripped, I think it was 15. So my favorite was Cena and Cody. I will tell you, I have some appreciation for Dominic and AJ. Obviously, if that went 20, 25 minutes, maybe I put a little bit higher, but that match entertained the shit out of me. As far as least favorite match from tonight, I got to go with Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. Becky Lynch and Lyra was good. They worked their asses off, and Lyra earned her spot. She's earned her spot months ago. But Lyra solidified herself tonight as one of the women, on Raw. She's earned it. She solidified it tonight. But I can't get past that spot like a bad cartoon. She's like trying to do it against the ring post. I'm like, that's not sharp. Why do you think cops use zip ties? Like, if you could just rub it against the armrest in the police car, holy shit, yeah, or the ashtray, or better yet, the headrest with the 2 metal bars, you could just sit here and go like this. No, officer, I'm just working out. I'm just working out my arms. She's literally on the ring post. I'm like, what producer told her to do that? And then the fire extinguisher was the best. For any of you out there that have those fire extinguishers, seriously, light your house on fire right now. And then grab the fire extinguisher, and if it's sharp where you could cut it with a zip tie, you tell me if you're going to concern yourself like, oh, I got to be careful, I might cut my finger. You're just going to grab the motherfucking thing, and you're gonna just spray everything. You're just going to whip it out. And this is spray adhesive. See all the stuff back behind me? All the glue dried up. And literally by accident, things could come flying down. I have to re-glue everything. Next week, I'm going to ask some of you out there, what do you want to see in the background? We want to take some of the pictures down. I think we got to refresh in the background. With all due respect to Taz and the Hart Foundation and even Eddie Guerrero, I think we got to mix it up a little bit. So if anybody wants to see anybody special, request in the back. Because I also don't want this to be a memorial. Because we brought it up on last Sunday. If you look at everybody in the back, almost everybody behind me is dead now. That wasn't the plan. Undertaker's back there and Kane and Shawn Michaels, but everybody else is pretty much dead. I'm like, how did this happen? Like, I didn't make this in mind, and I'm going to just put dead people behind me that I like. So Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa really, really was disappointing. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give night 2 an 8. The TLC was just insane. John Cena and Cody Rhodes was tremendous. Lara Vicari and Becky Lynch was really, really crazy match. Just with a couple of bad spots in it. Dominic and AJ was fun. Rhea and Naomi and Io Sky, holy shit. That match is going to be on the top 40 or top 25. I don't know about top 25. It's going to be in the top 40 of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time. They will find a spot for Naomi, Rhea, and Io. Am I going to really remember this match 5 years from now? Probably not. But I could understand as far as women's wrestling goes why that match earned it. I give an 8. Putting Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa aside, that was the only bad match of the night. The Lyra zip tie finish, the payoff was a little cheesy, and obviously Brock returning is tremendous. Most of us knew he was coming back. It was just a matter of time. The problem, I think, for some people is they get so consumed online with this cancel culture. And that, because Brock is close with Vince and Brock almost had sex with Janelle Grant, that he's got to be banished from WWE. And that's ridiculous when you really think about it. I've said this for almost 2 years. Brock Lesnar is guilty of being a bad husband. That's it. And yeah, they kept him off TV because of a lot of this controversy. But look, the Janelle Grant lawsuit and the Vince McMahon lawsuit, I'm sorry for saying this, but I'm going to say it because that's how I am. With all due respect, it's nothing personal. But you got places like WrestleNomics that absolutely are lighting a candle in a church every day that Vince McMahon is found accountable and liable for $100 billion, trillion. They are rooting for Vince McMahon's demise. And anybody that, they believe, did anything negative has got to be held to the cross. But at the end of the day, this is going to be moved to arbitration. And when it gets moved to arbitration, then you got to realize that, was Vince McMahon a pig? Yes, in my opinion. Vince McMahon was an absolute pig. Would not want him to be my father. Was Janelle Grant trafficked, or was she a freak? I think the P. Diddy case, if anything, it proved that, yes, some very beautiful people could be very, very horny, promiscuous, sexual, look at Eyes Wide Shut. Look at, 50 Shades of Grey. I don't understand why people think because somebody looks a certain way that they absolutely couldn't be a nymphomaniac. I'm not saying that that's what Janelle Grant was, but convince yourself that she couldn't, I think is ridiculous. So my gut feeling is that this moves to arbitration. Janelle Grant is scorned. She's bitter. She was played by Vince. Vince manipulated her, no question. But is that criminal or is that just a player? You know, I've brought up growing up as a 20-something-year-old. We used to go to this club called the G Club in Garden City, Long Island. Google it. There's a history. And I remember one time this guy that we knew was trying to pick up women, and he was telling all the women that he was a talent agent. And he scored with this one woman, and he told her that he was going to try to get her a modeling gig and everything like that. And the next week, I guess she slept with him, and the next week she realized that he really wasn't who he was. And she showed up in the club and walked right up to him and whack, slapped him right in the mouth. You pig, you motherfucker, you played me. That's not arrestable. That's someone who fucking talked his way into getting sex. That's a dirtbag. That is a Jersey Shore wannabe. That is a piece of shit. That is a player. That's may not be criminal, though. And I don't know if Vince McMahon, doesn't mean that Vince McMahon didn't do some horrible shit. I'm now convinced Rita Chatterton was legit. I'm convinced that Vince McMahon used his power to get what he wanted from certain women. No question. But I also think that Vince McMahon lived a lifetime hoping that he would finally find his freak that was as kinky as he was. And he fucking groomed her and molded her, and she enjoyed it along the way until she got burned. And then when he stopped that last $1 million, she got a lawyer, and the lawyer convicted Vince McMahon in a court of public opinion. And you had websites, WrestleNomics, and a bunch of others that were, that's why they're the first ones that get the comment from the lawyer and everything else, because they're obviously anti-Vince, and they can. I mean, I don't even think they hide it, and I respect that. But in the end, you might win the court of public opinion, but when that goes to arbitration, and the court says, look, that's all this is a breach of contract, they may rule her in favor of that $1 million or $2 million, whatever it is she didn't get paid, and that's the end of it. Then you're going to realize he didn't commit any crimes. This time, he was a pig. And I'm convinced Vince McMahon was a pig. Just like what Kev said before he passed, God rest his soul, with Tessa Blanchard. He said one of the most perfect things, I think you could sum it up. Tessa Blanchard's not a racist. She's an asshole. Hopefully she's changed her personality over the years and she's much friendlier now. But his view was always, she's not a racist, she's an asshole. And there's a big difference. So how we even got on that, I know where we got on it, because of Brock Lesnar. They were trying to take Vince McMahon's sins and take those sins and take it out on Brock Lesnar. And now Brock Lesnar's back. And all of that media, let this sink in as I leave you. All that media that flew to New Jersey for this weekend, thinking that they were going to hit Triple H with a doozy, especially if Brock returned tonight, just to find out that Triple H has decided right now, no post-media conferences. Nothing. There's some very, very angry media people, or people aspiring to be media. Just because you do a podcast doesn't mean you're a media person. So they don't get that doozy of a question. So, what'd you guys all think of SummerSlam? I enjoyed it. And as I said at the beginning, I say it again in closing. How much did you pay for SummerSlam? If you went to the show and you spent a lot of money on seats, travel, merchandise, food, concessions, and you felt underwhelmed, I totally am listening and respect whatever you say. But for someone out there to pay nothing, well, $4.99 or maybe $9.99, got 7 hours of show between two nights, and that's a pretty fucking great matches that we will remember years from now, to turn around and complain, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're expecting. You can't have not every match is ice cream. You can't have that gushy feeling for every match. I don't know what you want. Anybody out there that really complains about this weekend, I don't know what you want. I don't think WWE is it. So, all right, everybody. We did almost 3 hours. I made sure that this recap would not be as long as SummerSlam, and we did 2 nights. So I will be back tomorrow night. Tonight was about SummerSlam. Next week we could talk about whatever you want to get into. I wanted to stay focused on SummerSlam tonight because tomorrow now, after Raw, I don't have to. Any updates, I will share it. Any other news coming out of it, I will let you know. We'll pay attention to that jelly roll thing we were talking about earlier because I think that will happen. And if you're around tomorrow night, you could join me, DTKCDiscord.com, www.dtkcdiscord.com. I'll be live right after Raw. We literally start a minute after Raw. We do not wait. So we will recap Raw. We'll get into any wrestling news, some discussion, and we're right back into the routine. So I thank you all. We have not done one of these live recaps in quite some time. I think it was the right time to do it. If you all enjoyed it, then we'll do it on the next one as well. And no reason why we can't do it on occasion for TNA, for AEW. But, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't get into every little wrestling move like others, but my feeling, what my job to do is to give you my thoughts overall about the event, what I liked, disliked about it, things that stood out to me, good or bad. And then if you haven't watched it, maybe I will sway you into watching or maybe not to watch it. Or maybe you notice things that I didn't or vice versa. So I'm just giving my honest opinion on it. I enjoyed it. And next year, and I think this is noteworthy to say, August 1st, August 2nd, 2026, SummerSlam is back, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 2 nights. They did AEW a favor because 2026, All In is usually in August. I think it was in July this year because of scheduling issues. I think All In is usually August. So now AEW knows in 2026, when they go to Wembley, they don't have to worry about WWE picking a date that they already had in mind. I don't think AEW announced the on-sale date or the official date for All In next year. So August 1st, August 2nd. If they do it on that day anyway, hey, that might be the only date they have available. But mark that down, August 1st, August 2nd, 2026, Minneapolis, SummerSlam. My friends, definitely post in the comment section what you thought about SummerSlam. Is there anything I said that you absolutely disagree with? What are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar returning? Definitely share it. I'd love to hear your take on it. Am I downplaying Lesnar's return a little bit too much? Should he be back? Do you not want him back simply because you just don't want to see him on TV? Or, what did you think about SummerSlam overall? And Cody, once again. And Seth, once again. World champions. It's going to be interesting on Raw. I'm looking forward to it. So be well, everybody. Have a good one. Much love. Talk to you all again soon.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.